Welcome to Roundhouse Roulette, a Walker, Texas Ranger podcast. Thanks for joining us as we recap and review one of the 200 existing Walker, Texas Ranger episodes randomly selected by Roundhouse Roulette. I'm Evan Dalton, here with my brother Adam.
What's going on?
And our podcast's point of stability, Mr. Bob Leahy.
How are you, boys?
Oh, thanks for keeping us regular, man.
Oh, I do what I can.
Tumultuous times. Well, we'd like to thank you all for joining us as we discuss the benefits of having the Texas Rangers run your security detail. Of course, that means today we'll be recapping and reviewing Season 2, Episodes 22 and 23, The Reunion, or, depending on what you look at, Deadly Reunion as well? Maybe.
Yeah, we'll get into it. We'll get into it.
I hope we don't. Where Walker and Trevette, with the help of some old friends, race against the clock to foil a political assassination. But before we dust off our badges and fire up these computers of ours, join us as we pull up a seat at CD's Bar and Grill.
What's up, guys?
Yeah, fancy meeting you guys here.
Man, CD has procured a beer for the ages here.
This is the liquid gold here.
Yeah, a double home style from Bearded Iris Brewing in Nashville, Tennessee. He didn't even give me a call.
Wow. That sounds just like CD, just like old times.
Ice cold.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. This is going to wreck us.
It's a double IPA. I guess it's a version of one of their other beers. What does the menu say, Evan?
It's like your original favorite, but double the fun. Tasting notes are more mosaic juice, please.
Double IPA for a double episode, huh? All right.
There it is.
Apropos.
Yeah,
that's right.
I think CD was on. I mean, what a sly guy.
Oh, damn it. Got beer on my windscreen here, guys.
Ninja kicked the damn rabbit.
That just means it'll smell good, at least this episode.
That'll smell real bad. Somehow managed to miss pour beers only on this podcast.
I mean, usually a beer doesn't even make it to the glass.
It's having the microphone in your face. I think that,
Okay, yeah.
I think it's the pressure of trying to get the Foley, too, because I'm always conscious of that. Ooh, very aromatic.
This thing smells very fruity, just like this podcast.
Evan, yours looks really orange. Mine looks like yellow.
My skin looks really orange, too. Yeah. I don't know.
Maybe you got to white balance your webcam.
I'm going to turn off this light here.
Can we bring Ara back on real quick? Help us out here.
Yeah, I think he's got to get it evened out. But the taste, guys, screw.
Yeah, oh yeah, right.
How is this? Is it good? Is it bad? Is this going to power us through a double episode?
It tastes like more.
Tastes good. The smell is interesting. It's very aromatic.
For sure, very fruity.
It's hitting me. I'm already in it. Wow.
You guys realize we've had like close to 100 beers. We're like perhaps beer experts to some extent if we actually took the time to think about it, but we're not. So
no, we just say, "Oh, that's good," and we drink it.
I mean, I'm not going to turn down any beer.
Was there any beer that we said this is bad? I think there was like one or two.
There were a couple.
Yeah,
there were a couple.
Yeah.
Yeah, I recall a sour or two. I think that was
a little funky.
Yeah,
funky like an open hamper, baby.
Well, we got to get into it, guys. First, maybe we should field the fallout from Evan's fan fiction reading of the fan fiction we got off eBay. And I had posited on the socials, asking for a friend if we by chance had acquired this 1998 Walker, Texas Ranger fan fiction. Would you want to hear Evan reenact it with his most fervently clinical sensuality? And we heard from a few people with some, would you say, gifts of enthusiasm. One Chuck Norris himself from Emily saying yeah. And Michael, I think, is that from the movie Step Brothers?
Yeah. Did we just become best friends? Yep.
And we also heard from Zora on Patreon.
Zora, super fan, perhaps.
Without a doubt.
Yeah. But you must, sirs. You simply must. That's an exclamation point there. For what are we patroners paying for if not to hear more of Evan's sheer joy/terror as he undergoes the full reading of Check's notes To Ride the River With 2 from Dr. Beth's fanzines. And Under the Watchful Eye of the Bronze Headphone Stand, mind you. Here's hoping. Can't wait for the next episode.
Yeah.
It is behind me. Have you been putting videos out, or this is just this is someone taking notes on the descriptions, or
of your pod den? You know, what I mean?
I was frightened. Someone was actually like looking into my house.
Yeah, and
it would be frightening.
Yeah, you'd have to clean up for sure.
I will say we're in the midst of potty training right now, and if someone came in with luminol and some of those CSI glasses, our house would be frightening. So, just saying,
alarming.
yeah.
Needless to say, we dropped the last episode with you reading from it, and I mean, they weren't that particularly egregious.
There wasn't much steam. Yeah,
but have you gone through it since? Have you gone through it since to look for more dirt?
I'll be honest. The answer is no.
Okay, well, so it's potentially there's still hope there might be more gold in there, but we did hear from Emily after we dropped your reading from it, the last one, and she said fan fiction segment was steamy.
I think she said streamy, actually.
Oh, streamy. Yeah, she
probably means steamy.
I'm taking steamy. Yeah,
that's a autocorrect.
I don't know.
So much writing talent out in the wild yet to be discovered. I mean, seriously, right?
True.
I mean, who needs AI writers when you've got people writing this kind of content?
That's true.
Needless to say, Evan, you need to find some more gold in there, and maybe next podcast we'll get back into it if people are down. You know, it seems like they are.
I mean, seeing that there was a reaction means that someone listened to it. So
I'm not gonna lie. I personally, you know, when I'm watching Walker, it doesn't titillate me.
Okay.
And I get pent up, you know, and
I mean, what it sounds like is maybe you need to write your own fanfic.
Yeah, take this take this action item on yourself. All right.
And you need to play that music in the background while you're writing it.
Okay. Well, you know, if we run out of fan fiction, we might write our own. So we might threaten that on people. But guys, we got to move along because the mailbag kept piling up. And I'm like, guys, we got to record another podcast or else, you know, we're going to have more letters than Santa Claus. Let's jump in here. Evan, can you field this one?
WTR fan 1982. I mean, that's commitment on a Gmail account. Unless you created this account just to email feedback on Roundhouse Roulette, I mean, I'm impressed.
Yeah,
why are they not doing a podcast?
I mean,
let's bring them on.
All right, this is subject line request message. Last podcast, I was reminded of how Blown Apart, the episode, was not only a great episode, but one of your best reviews. Nice. All right. Someone ranking our reviews. I love that. I really miss the reenactments. The ones you stopped doing ever since you got rich from the podcast.
Yep.
Adam, are you holding out on us, Adam? You're the one who maintains all that stuff.
Oh, I'll give you an update on that, the sad state of that affairs in a moment.
Past due bills.
Exactly.
I was wondering if I could get your impression on of Max Kale shouting, "Hey Walker," as a text alert from my phone. Maybe you could make it available at the iTunes store and I could contribute to your fortune? It would be much appreciated. Also, I would like an interview with Judson Mills and at least one review a month. Don't think I'm asking too much. Thank you. P.S. I'm glad they canceled Pretty Boy Padalecki's show. How dare he try to fill Walker's boots? Pathetic.
Well said.
Wow.
So long, Walker!
Hey, Walker!
Hey,
nice
Walker!
Nice try, Padalecki.
Nice try, Padalecki!
I mean, if we just had a hint of Padalecki's fortune, I think we would be rich, but, you know.
Yeah, but how would we sleep at night?
Well, that's the thing. You got to do stuff you love.
On a huge
and that's
pile
what
of
we're
money.
doing. Yeah. Look, we would love to have Judson Mills on this podcast here. And I think what we're going to start doing, thanks to you, WTR Fan 1982, we're going to have a call to action every podcast starting right now. And anyone listening out there that wants this to happen, you want Judson Mills to come on Roundhouse Roulette and dish with us and see if we can't get some tantalizing a walkerology going on, you got to hit him up on Instagram and tag us in the comments on some of his posts and say, hey, Judson, you got to get on Roundhouse Roulette. So we're calling you to action. This is the month. Let's get him on here. We'll talk about that bear attack. We'll talk about everything. And we would love to have Judson on the podcast.
Here's what we need to do. We need to blindside him with fan fiction.
Oh.
He and I are going to do a fan fiction reenactment. Because we found some online.
Well, no doubt. But I think what we need to do, and this is my dream, would be
I could play a convincing Sydney.
No,
just saying.
I think my dream would to have both Nia Peoples and Judson Mills on the same podcast, and we get them to reenact fan fiction. So putting that out there, Roundhouse Roulette
Nation.
Roulette Nation, go to work, and then we'll see what happens this month. If you guys get up there, stay consistent, and if you tag us at Roundhouse Roulette on Instagram when you comment on it, we'll chime in too and see if we can't make this happen and continue the ridiculousness here. But
dream big.
And you know what? We have changed. We've sold out. We don't do the reenactions as much. We kind of do them as our advertisements, but next time we get some really awesome dialogue in an episode, we'll definitely do a Roundhouse reenactment again. But it's been a while since there's just been like a stretch of dialogue that was like poetry in a Walker episode.
Maybe it's really not the episodes. Maybe it's us though. Maybe it's lost its luster.
You've changed, man. You've changed.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I'm waiting for a line like that bad guy. No, when there's a line like, I'd crawl up his butt and out his mouth for that kind of green. If a bad guy says something like that in the episode, instant Roundhouse reenactment. But it hasn't happened in a while.
I mean, I think this episode between, say, the Senator and Alex, that could have been a little bit of a reenactment there.
Well, we'll get there. We'll get there.
We'll see.
All right. Well, moving on, we heard from frequent supporter and someone who might know what your basement looks like, Evan, Jeffrey Hartman.
Is he living down here somewhere? Or?
Well, he was the one that was in your neck of the woods, you and Bob, and he wanted to hang out, and you guys didn't hit him up.
What
happened?
Right. Oh. I mean, I think, Bob had a stroke and I had a baby, so we win.
Yeah, you guys are still using. You can't use those excuses forever.
Oh yeah,
I'm definitely using mine. That's the only thing I got going right now. I'm mopping up pee all day, man. So like,
wow. Okay,
I gotta get something out of this.
Okay, understandable, guys. Understandable. All right. Well, Jeffrey says in response to us talking about the new line of Carlos Santana shoes in our previous podcast, he says the shoes appear to be available on the internet in Canada because we were having trouble buying them in the U.S.
Right.
He says you boys want to meet somewhere along the Quebec border, I think Evan, you might be down for this.
Man, I know.
I'm closest. If I get in the car now, I can get there by midnight. Yeah. Maybe.
I think so. You might want to just keep going and stay in Canada at this point too, but.
Right.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Jeffrey. We'll be in touch. We'll be in touch on those shoes. Moving on here, we heard from another, and these are probably all the same person. Jeffrey, do you have multiple burner accounts? WTR fan 98, BJ69, Jeffrey Hartman. Are these all the same person?
Could be.
And they're all AI.
Yeah. And if that's the case, keep it up, and we want more accounts.
AI,
it's
just it's grown a consciousness, and all it does is just troll tiny podcasts.
Only Walker Texas Ranger podcast, but but BJ69, he chimed in on our Money Talks episode page on the website, Evan, and he says still here, still 100% all man, and I'm working my way through the new unit, i.e. podcasts you guys put out. Was Money Talks sung by the Offspring guy? And now that he says that, like the song Money Talks, that was like the song written for the last episode, it does sound like the Offspring guy. Let me see if I can pull this up here. And the music, that song, I still, oh my god, it's so good.
Money talks. I had it stuck in my head for a good week after I edited that podcast because you kept playing it. We probably played it and we're like, we can't play this, we'll get in trouble. And then we played it like 9 times, and I left them all in.
You put it in at the end too. Yeah. That was nice.
That's a hidden track. That's a nod back to the 90s where you had hidden tracks on CDs.
All right, listeners, does this singer sound like the lead singer of The Offspring? Also, is he pretty fly for a white guy? Well, let me know. I'm going to hit play here.
Welcome to Golden Wells. May I help you, sir?
C.D. Parker.
Wait for the drums come in.
Oh, yeah.
That one line kind of does. When he was born in talks.
Yeah, the first line, he's got kind of a Offspring vibe, but
yeah.
You know what? I would love to hear the Offspring cover that though.
I mean, it's
totally
kind of like the Offspring mixed with like Tears for Fears.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, yeah, a good mashup.
Yeah. I mean,
is it though?
Yes.
I mean, okay. Again, BJ69. Who calls a podcast a unit? I mean, that seems like a very AI thing to call a podcast,
dude,
right?
This is a guy. His screen name is BJ69. That's all he's thinking about is units. Okay,
everything's a unit.
Yes. All right. Well, moving on from that savory nugget, that savory unit.
It's a lot of mail this week.
I know. That's what I'm saying. We heard from Fat Axl Rose, which, yeah, because we talked about in one of our previous podcasts how the bad guy looked like Fat Axl Rose.
Yeah. Oh, the dude on the motorcycle.
And he says, the subject is Walker, Texas Ranger, the movie. And he goes, hey guys, if they ever made a movie of Walker, Texas Ranger, I would cast the following: Walker as Matthew McConaughey, Trevette as Don Cheadle, Alex as Reese Witherspoon, and CD as Robert Duvall.
Robert Duvall as CD is awesome. That's the one that stands out to me right there. He would kill.
Unbelievable.
The thing is, all these actors would have to act just like the original cast, the characters.
Oh yeah.
So they'd have to bring it down a little bit. Is what I'm getting at.
He is. I'm wondering who you'd pick. Thank you for your work. You will live forever. I hope so.
Well,
I hope we do.
Yeah, that's good. That's good to hear.
Okay, I'm on this already.
Okay.
I'm fine with the entire list, except Walker would still be played by Chuck Norris.
Yeah, I can't get rid of him, kind of thing. Yeah.
No,
But then they have like a really obvious stunt double.
I think what we do here is, and this would be just to. I mean, they've already tried to cast another White Walker. I think we need to do Denzel Washington as Walker. Okay, hear me out.
Up.
Denzel.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
And Trevette, I think he is Bill Burr. Okay.
I don't know. If I had to recast Walker, I think it'd have to be Nick Cage.
Oh my god. No.
Yeah, it'd be so good. Just think about it. He was even doing like similar things around the same time, right? Like all those great 90s Nick Cage movies.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I think the problem is, you could never recast Walker. We've seen them try to do it. The only reason the show is as insane as it is because of Chuck Norris's karate history that they have to write into a Western.
Yeah, but I mean, inexplicably, people just know martial arts, even though they shouldn't. They do.
Right.
Maybe they just remake it as a Lego movie.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Lego
and we'll have
Walker. Yeah.
I mean, I'd take Will Arnett voicing Walker. I'm down for that.
Oh yeah.
It's a tough one, Fat Axl Rose. So I think you have a pretty good list. Hopefully, our angle on it was satisfactory. I know it was not definitive because we're not that smart. All right. Well, lastly, we've got another email from Nathan Chester. he says, I have a question for you all, and I can't imagine a better place to turn to. In Season 5, Episode 12, Alex seems to reignite a romantic relationship with her boyfriend Dalton. Walker seems to have no issues with this, even though they had been a couple a while at this point, even spending plenty of time making out a few episodes prior. As far as I can tell, this development is never addressed again. It's bizarre. It's like the episode aired in the wrong season. Do you all know why this is the case? Thanks, Nathan.
Did we watch that one?
Oh, yeah, we did.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, because I remember the Dalton
That's the one where the rodeo clown gets it.
Yeah, it's called Rodeo. And, I mean, I actually got all these drops, these recordings of Walker talking about Dalton and Alex going off about Dalton, and that's what I use instead of my fan fiction. I just listened to Walker be jealous of Dalton, you know?
I mean, fair enough. I mean, so this is a great point, Nathan. This is one I think we've brought up a few times, including with a friend of the pod, Mignon, who's a script supervisor. We kind of brought up the topic that the show itself, every episode stands alone, more or less, and there's very little reference to different episodes prior or after. There are very few returning bad guys. I believe LaRue is the only one we've encountered in the podcast at this point. And I think that's mostly out of the fact that they were filming these episodes out of order often. It's risky to allude to episodes prior, particularly within the same season, because one episode might come out before the other. So they really did kind of stand alone. That may have been maybe the standard for TV shows around the same time as well. I don't know.
Well, and I don't know. I mean, Walker pretty much sums it up best here.
Dalton may live by his own code. So do I.
You know, I mean...
Also, I mean, I think we're all in agreement that, you know, particularly after seeing Walker seduce an Irish terrorist who had a knife strapped to her butt cheek by using the classic, let me teach you how to use chopsticks.
Oh, yeah.
Pickup move, you know. And also within that episode, Walker was kind of, getting a little female attention there as well. Granted, he ended up punching her out in a jumping out of a airplane, a biplane, into a convertible and punching that woman out. But still, I mean, he kind of was telegraphing it was an open relationship. So yeah. I think, you know, their relationship's a bit stagnant and seems to be a bit open to a bit of evolution throughout time.
Okay, well, I wrote back, Nathan. I did have a little time to do some Walkerology here.
You did that without consulting us?
Look, I'm not. If you write us, I'm not going to
call a meeting next time.
This is the meeting, okay? But here's the deal: we record the podcast like once a month, and if I don't reply, they're like, "Oh man, these guys suck." And we do. We're terrible people.
We do suck. Yes.
You took executive action.
Yeah. So. But I said we are kind of the best and worst people to ask this question to, because we select these episodes in a random order. So we don't know. True. We haven't seen the episode where Walker makes out with Alex yet. I've never seen that, you know. We don't know where that is in the timeline. All we do have from our sample size is that episode of Rodeo where Alex is obviously still has the hots for Dalton. Amazing last. I'm going to change my first name to Dalton so I can be Dalton. Wouldn't that be?
Do it.
That'd be pretty sweet. It's a great name. And I get why Alex would fall for a Dalton. But
really?
But regardless, we have that episode. Alex has the hots for Dalton, and Walker's kind of like playing second fiddle. And almost, I think we even talk about there was no like chemistry there, right? Where like he should be jealous at this point, right? And that there just wasn't in that episode. The following episode, I went and checked on roundhouseroulette.com, and the very next episode chronologically as the show aired is the one where Walker makes out with the Irish woman.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
maybe they're having a bit of a tiff.
They might have, if in fact they had been an item before those episodes, which we assumed, but we don't know because we do things randomly here. But I do have a nugget. I think we got this from the Michael Priest interview that we did. That Michael Priest said that in the networks in the 90s, they always like to keep the leads single, so that, you know, if you're watching the show, you could entertain a notion that maybe I'll be with Walker one day.
It's kind of like the Beatles.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they're like, don't advertise that you're married.
Yeah, or Jim and Pam on The Office. Milk that out for a while. Don't let. Once they got together, the show was terrible.
Yeah. I mean, there's some real Jim and Pam chemistry with Walker and Alex for sure. Yeah. I mean, just scroll up and down the Walker fan pages, you'll see.
Yeah. Oh yeah, oh my God, yeah, definitely clear your history after. But well, that's the mailbag. That was quite. I mean, thank you everyone for writing in and letting us know that people are actually listening to this, because we don't know sometimes, and we appreciate you being a part of the conversation.
Rock on. Also, we'd like to throw some thanks out to people who help us keep the lights on by making some small purchases on our Etsy shop. So these are mostly vintage action figures that Adam picks up from garage sales, and he cleans them, he claims,
meticulously.
Kind of obsessively, maybe.
Yeah, it's a little weird.
Yep. He's got a whole box of them, and he sells them to people. And so if you're interested in getting a Chuck Norris action figure, check out our Etsy shop. And we'd like to thank both Kimberly in Williamsport, Pennsylvania, and Rachel in Spokane Valley, Washington, for picking up a couple of these things and helping us keep the lights on. Although Adam has some financial updates for us. Maybe?
Well, each one of these figures is after our cost of buying these figures, it pays for 1 month of hosting here on the podcast. That said, the most popular version of the Chuck Norris action figure is the one that looks most like Walker. Well, obviously, that's going to be the most popular. He's got jeans, he's got a belt and holster, and he has a weird orange vest. But regardless, I buy like lots of these figures, and a lot of times I get them in, and I can't sell these to people if he can't even stand up. So I've probably got like 5 or 6 of every version of this figure that I can't sell anybody. So are we making money on this? No, but we are delivering the light of Walker, Texas Ranger to the world, and that's our podcast. That's our motto. We're not getting rich. We haven't sold out yet.
We are definitely willing to sell out, and if anyone wants us to shill their products for financial compensation, we are happy to do that.
As long as they would be beneficial to the environment and align with our internal code of ethics.
Bob has summed up our internal code of ethics.
Yeah, there it is.
Okay. Well, all right. Well, thank you so much to everybody. And again, the call to action this month is reach out to Judson Mills and Nia Peoples on the social media and join the interview Roundhouse Roulette. Let's make it happen next month. And tag us at Roundhouse Roulette on Instagram, and let's make it happen. But before we jump into this episode, we got one last thing. This episode was released as 2 single episodes when it was broadcast, and then it was also done as a TV movie, and there's actually a freaking trailer for this. So I figure we should watch it now before we jump in to do the recap, and if anyone wants to hit pause after the trailer, they can go watch Walker, and then we'll dig into the minutia here.
Better luck next year.
Is Walker, a cop in a class of his own. Assigned to protect the life of a U.S. senator.
Do you have any hard evidence supporting this assassination idea of yours, Walker?
Now, he must stop a trained assassin.
Let's finish this competition. Find out who really is the best. Whenever you're ready, make your move.
And destroy a deadly conspiracy that reaches into the highest levels of government.
Give Ranger Walker a goodbye he won't forget.
I'm digging the synth.
That didn't happen.
But yeah.
Chuck Norris is Walker, Texas Ranger. Deadly reunion.
I mean, that's better than the episode, but can we quickly go back, Adam? Can you check that one?
The car? That's what you're saying?
No, there's a vehicular transference.
Yeah, that's from the first season. That's from season 1. Yeah, he goes from his horse onto a car.
Horse to car.
Yeah, that's not in the episode.
We haven't seen that one, though.
We haven't seen it yet. That's in the first season.
We've seen, what was it? Boat to boat. Plane to car. Plane to convertible.
His horse to car, that happens in the first season, and then they use it as part of the opening credits for the first couple times when they got the old school theme.
So they were stuffing this trailer with stuff that doesn't even happen in the movie.
Only one scene, or one clip.
And I'm not mad about it. That was a great clip.
Vehicular transference for the win.
I mean, hot take here. If you're not into watching an hour and a half of Walker, Texas Ranger, watch a minute and 15 seconds and you've pretty much seen the whole episode.
Yeah. All the best parts for sure.
This trailer will definitely be on our episode page for this podcast.
Well, that about sums up our mailbag here. If you don't want any spoilers, hit that pause button and watch the reunion season 2, episode 22 and 23, and then come right on back to us.
Please.
All right, welcome back. Let's dig into this episode. And in the sake of expediency, I've got 2.5 pages of notes on this episode. I'm not happy about that. So I think we're just going to kind of blast through this episode because I think we're all in agreement that this episode, even though it's a double episode, most episodes of Walker fit this much action into a
45
episode.
minutes. 45 minutes. I know.
The stats will prove that point, I think.
All right, so this opens on, in retrospect, this is a year prior?
No.
It might be. Yeah, I think it is. or you know what I was thinking about that? I thought basically, so they're at the range. They're doing this competition. Later on, I thought that maybe this scene at the beginning was just their local practice, but all the props and everything were the same. Yeah, you're right. So this is like the previous year. There's a yearly law enforcement competition.
Yeah, a marksmanship shooting competition between not just rangers, like all different kind of law enforcement.
All over the country. Everyone comes in.
Maybe I'm dating myself, but this reminded me a lot of some of those sort of shooting gallery arcade games.
Oh, yeah.
Perhaps the best being Revolutions, where it's the Aerosmith themed arcade game.
Oh, the Midway one that was like Terminator 2? That game rules. They shot CDs.
Yeah.
Is that the one?
Yeah. Instead of shooting bullets, you shoot compact discs.
I saw one of those. That game was on a local Craigslist ad. They wanted like $2,000 for it, and me and a buddy of mine were seriously. We're like,
every penny. Yeah. Don't you want to shoot CDs at?
I just want to have an Aerosmith arcade game in my house.
I know at Bad Guys while it's playing a really crappy mini version of Love in an Elevator. Come on, man.
Oh man, yeah,
every penny worth every penny.
They know the target market to sell the Bad Boys from Boston video game in Boston. So
Craigslist. I mean, that's the thing though. Like, was that a nationwide thing or was that just in New England? Another call out to the the Walkerites out there.
No, I saw that game in New Orleans.
Okay.
Because I was with a good buddy of mine who's a big Aerosmith fan, like we all are, obviously. And he was like, "What is this?" I was like, "You've never seen this?" And it was,
quick, give me a quarter.
Yeah.
What's that?
Yeah, what's a quarter?
Okay, well, yeah, and let's describe this shooting thing, because Trevette is up first, and he's doing the shooting range. And
also, spoiler alert, it's going to come up a billion times.
The same footage, the same thing.
Right? Yeah. They have, like, the gun in a little box, and then the guy goes, go, and he grabs the gun, and he goes, and he's, like, walking along this path, and there's these windows. It almost looks like a carnival. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A carnival trailer, and as he's walking by, a person with like a gun holding a hostage flips around, and it's like a cutout of wood of this, like someone painted it on there, and he sees that it's the bad guy, so he shoots the bad guy to save the hostage, and then he moves on to the next window, and something pops open, and it's a police officer, so he doesn't shoot the police officer and lose points there, and then he walks another 2 feet, and something else flips around, and it's another bad guy with a gun, and he shoots him, and then boom, he's done. And they're like, "Oh, great job, Trevette! You scored a 97 out of 100."
And you did it in 36 seconds. But, of course, Walker pulls up and, Trevette, he one-ups Trevette by getting 100% in 34 seconds. And then he says to Trevette, better luck next year.
Yeah.
And,
He also didn't have hearing protection or eye protection, unlike everybody else. Which is, that's just classic. That's a power move right there.
His stunt double did, though. So.
Oh, yeah.
When Walker does it, though, too, it's like, the same footage of the stuff coming around again. And it's like, oh, did we just see this when Trevette did it? Yes, and we're seeing it again. And obviously, Chuck is going to beat him. I mean, there was no question. I mean, Walker, he's perfect. Perfect shot, perfect at everything he does. And I'm really glad that they didn't break canon with this.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm not going to lie, not a gun nut. Is this really something that people want to watch for a long period of time? It seems very repetitive.
Are you talking about do people want to watch Walker Texas Ranger, or do people want to go and sit in the stands and cheer this on? Is that what you're asking? Which one?
Excellent question. The points are the same, but in this case, I am talking about the marksmanship competition.
Okay.
Later on in the episode, we'll see more of this competition, and it seems to be some sort of spectator sport. Throughout this series of episodes, we see at least 4 runs, maybe 5, and that's plenty for me. So, I mean, are people really going to be sitting there watching this from a distance?
Well, maybe if you've got skin in the game, if you're one of the contestants, you might be sitting in the stand.
There are people betting on it. So, okay, never mind. All right, well, we've gotten very far in this episode. So Walker says better luck next year, and I guess we fast forward to next year? There's no indication of this. We're just assuming this based off of watching both episodes in succession. But we're at the Kansas City airport where a police officer is bringing his guns to the National Marksmanship Competition. So he's kissing his wife goodbye, and he's basically taking his guns and putting them through the metal detector. This is what, 1994? Pre-TSA, pre-9/11, and apparently, you can just take guns on a suitcase onto a plane.
No big whoop.
Loaded guns on the suitcase.
Just had a thought, too, not to derail this even more, but maybe that was the qualifying rounds.
Yeah, that's possible.
So maybe it wasn't a year later. But it doesn't matter.
The fact that we are unsure is funny. They don't spell it out clearly at all. It could be either the next day or a year later.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. Anyway, back to the airport.
Anytime you see someone carrying a metal briefcase, you know that there's either money or weapons inside. So he's carrying his metal briefcase into the bathroom. As one does before a flight. He didn't even use the toilet. I think he was just, checking his hair.
Draining the main vein or something.
Or freshening up. Let's keep it.
I think he's just freshening up.
Okay.
So, anyways, some bad guys got the scouting report on this dude because dude comes in on crutches, and that dude is none other than Jonathan Banks, who you may know from such famous roles as
Mike Ehrmantraut.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
From Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul.
Yep. You may also know him as the, I think he was a creepy janitor, maybe, in the TV show Community.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, just classic hard case. He looks like an imp.
Yeah, he looks goofy, but goofy like he gonna kill you.
Yeah, he's a bad guy.
Yeah. And he comes in on crutches. He kind of strikes up a conversation with the police officer, right?
This is after he grabs a knife out of the wastebasket.
Without him seeing it. Yeah, so someone had stashed a plastic knife or something. He grabs it, hides it behind his back, and starts small-talking the cop. And it stabs him to death.
Yeah, real quick.
Yeah.
And then 2 other guys come in with a trash can, and they shove the body in there.
They're already in there.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, they're like, oh, they just get him in the trash can. We good.
No.
Yeah, and, hopefully they wouldn't be able to get away with that now in the airport, but it was a different time.
Yeah, so he takes his boarding pass, and that's basically all he needs to steal his identity. He takes his boarding pass and his guns and boards a flight to Dallas.
Yeah, and he's like,
Hey, Walker!
No, he's not.
oh, that different episode. Okay.
And then we had the brilliant season 2 intro. Fabulous.
That was definitely the best theme. After credits, we go to CD's Bar and Grill, which in the first part of this two-parter plays pretty heavily. They're decorating, and we see friend of the pod, Mabel.
I mean,
R.I.P., right?
Is she friend of the pod?
She would be. She would be. You know it.
Yeah, maybe.
Is she
the one that sent us this double home style?
She's saucy. She could have.
She's a little extra. Yeah.
She uses this to season her chili.
But it was good to see Mabel. Yeah, I think I was debating whether, because we don't see her very often. The last place we saw her was CD's. CD might have put her into the chili.
Secret ingredient.
Yeah, exactly. But we don't know. We haven't seen all the episodes in order yet. So hopefully that's talked about.
That's dark, man. That's dark.
I don't know.
Man, what's your secret ingredient? I'll never tell.
If I'm willing and Mabel.
But that Mabel, she gone.
I'll never forget her.
Oh, man. So Walker, they're basically criticizing Walker, trying to get him to hang up a decoration because they're going to have a Ranger reunion as part of the finals of the marksmanship competition. And Walker's hanging something up. And to comic effect, everyone's trying to get him to hang this decoration in a different spot. Meanwhile, Trevette is sitting back and watching the politics on TV, and he sees the senator, talking out of both sides of his mouth, as senators do. And he starts criticizing the senator, but I'll tell you, Alex walks in with a, dare we say, attractive black woman. And, as soon as you see that in an episode of Walker, you know they're going to try to stick her with Trevette. Yeah. This is the third time we've seen this now.
Yeah, they didn't really do anything with that character, though, surprisingly.
Well, Trevette was definitely oogled her a little bit.
Smitten. That was kind of evident, though.
Perhaps.
Well, at least on screen. We don't know what happened off.
And he learns that she's actually the senator's aide, and that Walker and Trevette have been tapped as
security detail for the senator who's going to be visiting to officiate the marksmanship competition.
Yeah.
Wow, it's
Absolutely.
funny. It's funny how these things all connect.
You got it, man. And Walker's and Trevette's all like, well, just so you know, I say that about all politicians. They're like, that's just kind of my thing.
Because he was mouthing off about the senator in front of her, and then found out it was like a little joke or something at his expense. Oh, I was talking out of school, and you work for this guy. Oh, okay.
Yeah, for sure. But we're gonna learn the truth about the senator pretty soon. So,
wasn't he talking about like the Second Amendment or something? But
he was talking about. I was trying to hear it because it's playing in the background. He's talking about choice, women's choice. And I was like, this is interesting. What's he trying to say? But
they didn't weigh in on any side of any of the issues they talk about in this episode at all, right?
Yeah, he's talking about choice and he's talking about gun control. Those are the two issues on this one. Which, regardless of our political views on this podcast, amazing that, 30 years later, those are still issues that politicians are talking about.
Yeah. No doubt.
Nothing gets resolved in this country ever.
If only Chuck Norris was running for president, he might be able to...
dare you say reawaken the political...
I think so, yeah. In fact, I texted you guys, I came across this book by Chuck Norris from the 90s, and it was a little foreboding, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a little alarming, I'd say.
What was the title? Let's see if we can find it here.
The title wasn't as scary as the subtitle. There was something in there about...
It's him and his gi with an American flag on the gi, black belt patriotism, how to reawaken America. That's scary because I think America needs to go to sleep for a little bit. We need to chill down.
Yeah, we need everybody. Nap time.
Yeah, exactly. Every political, everyone on the left, everybody on the right, everyone in the center, we need to take a nice long nap. That's what we need to chill out. We can wake up and all come together.
Well, okay, Adam, what you're saying is that what we need is a neutral threat that afflicts people regardless of political party and is a global threat. Maybe something like, I don't know, like a virus, some sort of disease.
The airborne virus would be good. That's a good idea.
Something like that. I think that would be something that would just, like, oh, it affects anyone, regardless of political party. You can't possibly politicize something.
I'm gonna pray. I'm gonna pray for that tonight.
It'll probably start a lot of podcasts. That kind of thing. You know,
that might be a good result of that.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. Politics aside here, and not really aside, because we're going to be dealing with the senator later. So yeah, Walker and Trevette, they've been tapped as a security detail for the senator. Pretty big deal. And so they've got to go meet him at the airport. And just as they're picking up the senator at the airport, everything else is happening. So this bad dude, Jonathan Banks, who's now impersonating
the guy he shanked in the airport restroom.
In the restroom, the guy who with the guns and the police officer with the guns and all that. He's arriving in Dallas at the same time that ex-Ranger Laredo Boyd, who's going to play pretty heavily in this episode, I guess.
And
but
I
not
gotta say,
really, but kind of.
Can we just say this guy was the best part of this episode, was Laredo?
How do we meet him?
Well, we meet him because he's people watching at the airport, which one does.
Great pastime. Yep.
Absolutely. He notices a guy pickpocketing someone, and this pickpocketer, probably 30 years younger than him. But Laredo Boyd, he looks like he just walked off the set with John Wayne, and he's got, a pack of Marlboros in his chest pocket there.
He talks like he's from Louisiana or something, right? He's weird.
Yeah, I couldn't quite place it.
Looks like he just walked out of the Dust Bowl, right? And just as he's foiling the pickpocketer, Walker and Trevette happen upon him, and Trevette thinks Boyd is the one instigating.
Right.
But Boyd gets Trevette in a half Nelson, if you will, even though he's much younger and presumably weaker than Trevette, who works out, as we know, doing laps in the swimming pool in a Speedo. Walker's like, oh, Boyd, you SOB. Didn't think I'd be seeing you here.
Trevette's like, oh, you know him? Okay, yeah, he didn't steal it.
They meet Boyd very quickly. Boyd sees Alex, and, I mean, come on now. And they're like, okay, well, we got to go. We got a security detail for a senator, but good to know you're in town. We should hang out sometime. Come to CDs. It's great for the reunion.
Yeah, and anytime Boyd sees like a female in this episode, he's like, I'd love to get it over her, and I want to see what she's going. Yeah.
Very
right?
true. Very,
bit of a
very
playboy.
true.
Yeah.
He's a retired ranger, so, retired, you hang up that badge.
Laredo's libido was, he's...
Okay. So Senator Knox comes into town, and we learn pretty quickly that Senator Knox, he's got some history with Alex, which, this is season 2, so things are pretty fresh here with Walker and Alex and the chemistry they've got going on,
right,
and the depth of their relationship. And granted, that progresses extremely slowly throughout this whole series, as we addressed earlier in the podcast. There's something there, and
they imply that they're together, or they don't say it, but they imply that they are in this episode.
There's tension. Let's put it that way.
They both work together, and they both have feelings for each other, but nothing's happened.
I just want to say, she clearly has a thing for older dudes, right? If Walker and the senator are top billing in her eyes,
so you're saying Laredo might have had a chance with her? That's what you're saying?
I'm saying yes, and I'm also saying to Alex as a girlfriend, you could do better. You could do better.
Look, you don't need another daddy. Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Not to disparage what Alex and Walker have later on, because obviously they've got a depth of common experience. Lots of kidnappings, lots of bombs, near-death experiences.
Do you remember the time you saved me from the first time they tried to kill me with a bomb explosion?
Oh, the first time. I was thinking of the second time.
Hey, Walker.
And obviously, those types of visceral experiences, those forge a strong relationship. But I'm just saying, early on, you could be doing better. Anywho, the senator clearly still has a thing for Alex, and that's going to come to a head later on, and it's not going to be pretty. So we see what Boyd is actually doing at the airport. He's looking for someone just based off of a photograph he has of this person getting a lap dance at a strip club. The person in the photograph is someone we've seen in this podcast at least 2 times at this point.
Yeah, this actor
named Blue Deckard.
Yeah, Blue Deckard. Yeah, how many episodes of Walker is he in?
I think he's in 5 or 6, maybe more.
as different characters. Like,
yeah, the last episode he was in, he actually went from being a bad guy, and his stature is perfect for being a bad guy. He's like super tall, classic bad guy. But in the last episode, it's the one where they go south of the border and like fight the drug gang and throw knives at each other.
Showdown at Casa Diablo Part 1 and Part 2.
I believe he's in the first part of that. But the first time we see him is in the one with the religious zealot. And he's the father of the girl who gets brainwashed.
Oh, yeah, taking him by the cult. Yeah, okay.
He's mostly bad guys in the show, but he bookends it with two good guys. Well, so, you know.
Good for him for turning it around. Lou Deckard.
And in order to learn about Blue Deckard, Boyd actually interviews the guy at the check-in counter for the airline. And that's friend of the podcast, Sam Williamson.
This might be his first appearance on a Walker episode. I think he talked about it in our interview that he did work in the airport.
Mm-hmm. He was in this episode? I didn't see him at all.
Oh, yeah, Evan, he texted us a picture of him in our text chain.
I texted the photo, Bob. It happened. That's real.
In our last podcast, we shared the trailer for Sam's documentary on Walker Texas Ranger director Michael Priest, and that's actually who directed this episode and is responsible for Sam getting into the Walker universe here. So super cool.
Legend right there. Anyways, this guy had no idea who came off the plane and didn't want to share that. So even pre-TSA, airlines played it pretty close to the vest who was on a plane and who wasn't. So good on them, you know. So
let's skip the next 20 minutes.
I know. So we see Jonathan Banks' character, the bad guy, the main bad guy of this episode. Now he's landed in Dallas. He's there with his goons who helped him stuff the other guy in a trash can.
Yep.
I'm just going to throw this out there.
To get on the same flight.
Yeah. Oh, thanks. Adam brought the stills. Adam brought the still of a Sam Williamson.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah. So shout out to Sam.
You know, my question is, why did all of that happen in Kansas City? Why couldn't they have just stayed in Dallas? Why did they have to fly all the way from Kansas City to Dallas? All of them?
Because of that cop. Because of the guy they killed. That was their whole thing, was to kill that guy and then pretend to be him in order to get to the competition.
Okay.
Yeah.
How did they know he was going to be in the bathroom? And how are they going to get on the flight if he didn't go to the bathroom?
He did, though.
But
but he did.
Yeah, but he did. So it doesn't matter. If we start asking those questions, we're never going to get through this episode.
Oh, man. All right. Anyways, he's back in Dallas, and he goes to a gun shop, and he's picking up the murder weapon. We're starting to piece together that something bad's going down, obviously. You know, this is all part of a larger ploy. The fact that we've been introduced to a politician leads us to believe that maybe something's going down here. And so he picks up this rifle at a gun shop, and the gun shop owner is like talking all about this gun and all this stuff, all about the silencer. He starts talking about who created the silencer and all this. By the way, I fact checked this. He was absolutely right. They got their facts correct on this one. But anyways, Jonathan Banks' character murders the rifle shop owner in very efficient manner. Same manner that he murdered the cop in Kansas City in the bathroom, which is basically just like stabbing him in the back and taking him out.
We have to say his name, too. The character's name, the bad guy, is Shelby Valentine.
Which, yeah, we don't hear it.
We don't because
hear it till like halfway through the two-parters.
Yeah.
But, before he murders the gun shop owner, we get, some exposition on what this gun's all about. And it's got this super dope silencer that, the gun shop owner says that, it'll make less noise than a chicken breaking wind in a snowstorm.
Oh,
that's quiet.
Quite the descriptor.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm not sure chickens fart, but,
I'm sure there's gas.
If they did... it'd be muffled by a lot of feathers. So that's pretty silent.
Okay. Yeah, totally.
Yeah. As an ornithologist, I feel like I had to weigh in on that.
Actually, you don't know what it would sound like? You've never heard a bird fart before?
I have never heard a bird fart before.
Here's a question, not to get too off topic, but do all birds, like chickens, only have one orifice that they...
Yes, it is called a cloaca.
Okay.
That is shared by reptiles, amphibians, and birds. Cloaca, I believe named after Cloacus, the goddess of the sewer and trash. So it is a sewer. It is a common entrance and exit. So
what about roosters? There's no appendage?
No appendage, although some ducks have ridiculous appendages. There's been weird runaway sexual selection in ducks that has led to crazy things like corkscrew-shaped penis-like structures.
Ooh. Ow.
Correct.
Let's start a new podcast. This is more interesting.
I think we need some duck fan fiction here.
Oh my God, no thanks. Duck sex, brutal and terrifying. So no, thank you.
I think Donald Duck should play Walker in the reboot.
Shirt, no pants.
Yeah, he can Donald Duck it the whole time. Well, and so back to this episode. Okay.
Okay.
and this they'll talk about this later in the episode, but let's just get this out here now. Let's just get it out here so we don't have to go through this. So these bad guys and Shelby Valentine, he's part of an elite group of people. What's their name? They're like a shadow people or something.
No, it's much worse than that.
They're called the Black Boys.
Yeah, they're called the Black Boys.
Oh no!
And I don't think it's like a gang as much as a description of what they are, and that they.
Should I Google this? I'm not sure I should Google this.
Don't do that.
Okay.
You'll be on the list if you Google it.
This is one thing we're not going to dig into.
It basically means that they've
put it on the list of things I've Googled as part of a Walker Texas Ranger podcast.
It's like, can you make a bomb with just C4 and
use that incognito tab, folks.
And on Bob's browser history, it's duck penises.
Well, basically, it means that the people don't exist, right? They're,
Yeah, they fake their own death, and they're off the grid, and then they're free to kill people and not get in trouble for it or something like that.
Yeah, Black
right?
Boys.
Spoken like someone. Spoken like someone who knows. Name. Yeah,
I'm here right now on the podcast. Oh.
I think Adam's out. All right, Bob, you and I got this.
All right,
We're only about a fourth of the way through. All right. So after murdering the gun shop owner, there's a 10 p.m. meeting in a stadium lot. And Blue Deckard's character, he's like 3 minutes late and he gets chewed out for it. Blue Deckard's character, he's a black boy, but he wants to have a little fun with it. He's like, I'm still human. I might be, technically listed as dead. And as far as the government concerns, I don't exist. My family can't know anything about me, but, I want to have a little fun with this. And Jonathan Banks' character, he's got no wiggle room.
No.
Jonathan Banks' character is all like, well, we're going to be making change. You guys are part of a security and recon team, and we've got a target for termination. I'll be the one doing the terminating when it comes to that. And then he pulls out like this giant, like 8 by 11 photo of the senator with like an American flag behind him.
Is that really necessary to have all your plans in this big 8.5 by 11 photo of a U.S. senator?
When you're being filmed for TV, yes,
you're right. Of course, okay.
For dramatic effect.
How great is he as a bad guy, though? It's.
I mean, he's like a 9 or a 10.
Yeah,
right?
We'll save that for the end, but.
yeah, there's a little bit to unpack at the end, but sure, yes, absolutely. Fast forward to a Ranger reunion at CD's. We see the old guard of Texas Rangers.
These guys were cutting loose, though, I'll tell you that right now.
Oh, for sure. One of the ex-Rangers is Chuck Norris's partner in Lone Wolf McQuaid. He's a dude with like this super poof hair.
With a mustache, kind of looks like Sam...
Yeah, he's like an almost Sam Elliott.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Yeah, he's my favorite for sure.
Oh, definitely. As you alluded to, they're definitely cutting it loose at the Ranger reunion, we'll say.
Yeah.
Also, for some reason, Jonathan Banks' character knows to be at CD's Bar and Grill.
Yeah, I was wondering about that. Like, so you knew to be there. Why would he be? Is he doing some sort of like...
No clue.
Isn't that... it's kind of like, why did he kill the gun maker?
Also, no clue.
There's a lot of things like, why did he do that? Like, wouldn't it be better if he just laid low and then showed up at the competition?
Yes.
But he gets a phone call, right, from his wife or something? I didn't quite get that.
Yeah, so the wife of the guy that he's sort of assuming the identity of
Right.
calls CDs looking for him because, the guy who got murked in Kansas City, he seemed like a pretty stand-up dude. He was like saying goodbye to his wife and talking about their kids and all that stuff.
All I could tell you is that she was way out of his league.
Well, yeah. that is the way of Walker, isn't it?
Yeah. I was like, what is she doing with this guy? So she called him?
Yeah, because he never called when he landed. And so she called CDs looking for him. He answered pretending to be somebody else.
Right.
Assuring her that he would have her husband call her.
Right.
First thing.
And that nothing's wrong. This is why this episode is so long. Stuff like this.
Weird little details
like,
that also like continuity wise make no sense.
It's also what makes it like a movie, right?
Yeah.
This episode.
Yeah. So Banks takes this call and then he's leaving, and this woman who's there at the reunion party, whose ex-husband was a cop. She seems to have a thing for law enforcement officers.
I think that was it.
Yeah, she's got a thing for law enforcement officers, and is giving off kind of kinky vibes. And
so she's kind of a badge bunny.
Badge bunny.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. Nice.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah.
Hashtag badge bunny.
We got there. Kind of like a buckle bunny.
Or a puck bunny.
We talked about
exactly,
the episode Rodeo earlier in the mailbag, so it only makes sense. So yeah, she seems to be there to maybe pick up some dudes, and Jonathan Banks' character, he may seem emotionless and kind of detached, but he has needs too, and so and we learn a little bit too much about them later on. But she's all like, oh, my ex-husband, he was a cop, and I'm looking for action right now. He's like, noted, and then he leaves. Meanwhile, Trevette's like trying to defend Alex's honor. Trevette's alone doing security detail with the senator, and the senator's all like, that Alex though, like, she's not attached, right? Like, she's a total babe and way out of my league, but like, I'm a senator that's like going to be president or something. So
he's like, Walker's not a problem, right?
He's like, she's cool though, right? She's single and stuff, right? And Trevette's like, she is, but don't you have a wife? Like, Trevette's a total square in this episode.
Total wet blanket. I mean, he's totally stepping on people, adultery and stuff.
Seriously. Trevette's like, don't you like have a wife and stuff? And the senator's like, why? As a matter of fact, I do.
Yeah,
I'm well aware of this fact.
I've got a standing date with Stormy Daniels.
Yeah. So that sets the scene as like, oh my goodness, maybe this government official like isn't totally on the up and up, and maybe he's like got a little bit of sleaze in him. Like, I still voted for him, but like,
I mean, he gets the job done, but
right,
he does cheat on his wife, maybe.
Right, like I voted him basically on like the party lines, or like maybe like on policy issues, but
yeah, I mean,
I'm kind of questioning his moral character now. Like, should I be?
Is it cheating if it's with Alex?
Definitely not, though, right? Like, she was on Dallas, so like, do I blame him? I don't know. Like, I mean, it's not great.
Definitely
but,
vote for him anyway.
I'm not entirely sure I like his moral character, but like,
I mean, is Alex his hall pass?
Possibly, but like, has he had other ones? I don't know. I'm gonna plead the fifth on that. All right. So meanwhile, Boyd he's checking out of this reunion party, and he's like, nah, Walker, I don't need to ride back to my hotel. Like, I've got an itch I need to get scratched. You know what I mean? And he just sort of wanders off like a pervy old dude. And two other pervy old dudes, as in Walker and CD, are like, isn't he acting a little weird? I don't know. Maybe a little weird.
They're like, definitely weird. I'm like, how do we know if he's acting weird? We don't even know this guy.
he seemed weird the whole time.
He seemed quite strange.
His name's Laredo.
Oh my God. All right. So Laredo ends up at Diamond Strip Club, and we see the strip club owner. He's in like a turquoise tracksuit.
Oh yeah, great tracksuit
with the swish pants. I mean,
just comfort all the way, guys.
Yeah.
Laredo brings a photograph that he had as evidence from the beginning of the episode, and he's like, hey, do you know this guy who's getting a lap dance? And the guy's like, I've never seen him before. And he's like, well, see this statue in the photo? That's the statue behind you right now. This guy's getting a lap dance right here in your club, and this was only taken like a few weeks ago.
Let me twist your fingers and see if you remember that.
I mean, great detective work by Laredo.
Fantastic. How he knew it was Diamond Strip Club, I don't know. Maybe that's like the 6th strip club he hit up. I don't know.
Oh, well, hopefully he got to go to multiple strip clubs that night.
I mean, he seems like a man of honor. So, meanwhile, Walker's tailing him. So, like, who's the real creep here? Like, is it Laredo going into multiple strip clubs looking for a statue? Or is it Walker following an old guy who's visiting multiple strip clubs in one night? Toss up?
Yeah. Tough to say.
Yeah, it's Texas.
This is a theme we see throughout the episode where Laredo, he's leaving after twisting some dude's fingers or shaking a guy down, as we like to say in this podcast, the shakedown. And in Texas, I think it's standard practice where if you shake someone down, the person you're shaking down gets a free swing at you.
Yeah.
There will be no charges pressed. It doesn't matter if you're a law enforcement officer, ex-Texas Ranger in this case, they get a free crack at you.
Right, which, I mean, in Laredo uses that. They're like, well, you're not a Ranger anymore. And he's like, I got that. I got nothing to lose.
For the record, Adam just gave crazy eyes, and Laredo's all about the crazy eyes in this one. Yeah.
So good. So good.
He's got eyes like a half asleep bull terrier.
So he's fighting like these young guys out there are kicking the crap out of him, and then Walker comes and saves the day. And then Walker's like, what are you doing here? And doesn't he say something like, seeing the pretty ladies? something like that. Yeah. I'm like, oh,
well, getting my share of the skin.
And the pretty ladies.
You know what one does in the strip clubby? In the strippy club.
We have our first fight.
Yeah. Yep.
Not the best one, but
no.
It happened, so it statistically is there.
Statistically, yes. Fight, 0 roundhouse kicks.
Yeah.
If anyone's sort of fast forwarding through the episodes looking for roundhouse kicks, keep going.
I would have liked to see Laredo try to lift his leg above his knee,
No. Although the actor who plays Laredo has a background in boxing, so
didn't show.
No.
I love that character, but he had some flaws we'll get to.
One is, playing things too close to the vest, when in reality, like, no reason to at this point. There's only one lone wolf in Walker episodes, and it's Walker. After the fight, they're standing at Walker's truck. Some sort of disturbance or crime scene gets called in over the radios, and Walker responds to it. I don't know how law enforcement works in Texas, so maybe this is standard practice. But multiple times in this episode, the Texas Rangers get called into crime scenes and are expected to contribute. So in this case, they get called into the gun shop, and the guy running the crime scene is like a total noob. And he's like, well, you did that seminar on knife injuries a few months back, and I thought you'd be a good expert to come in here and see what the crime scene's all about.
Yeah. So
I had to rewind that. I'm like, wait, what?
Walker, Texas Ranger.
What now?
You're telling me that Walker, Texas Ranger is giving seminars on criminology and crime scene investigation techniques.
Again, this is something we might be losing out on by not doing these chronologically, but last I checked, Walker wasn't contributing to the world of professional development.
I think the whole thing you came up with early in the podcast was hunches before punches. And a hunch,
absolutely.
Yeah, a hunch does not involve science. Okay? Hell no.
Absolutely. It's okay. We get back to hunches later on. But in this case, knife wounds, they tell a whole story. The gun shop owner was taken out tactical style by a military ranger. Of course, Laredo picks up on this as well because, he probably attended Walker's seminar.
Oh.
Anyways, he's doing all this detective stuff. They're like, oh, let's look through his order sheets, and look, there's this whole thing about a rifle, and he was building a rifle. And then they go back and they find this ancient computer. And they're like, ooh, electronic ranging equipment. What's he doing with that? And then they find these silencers in a drawer. And they're like, man, where are they getting these silencers from? I'm like, that's weird.
I mean, they look like a pipe bomb or something. I don't know. It was crazy, man.
Meanwhile, zoom to an early 90s bedroom. So we're talking like sheer curtains, brass bed frame, beige walls, artwork by the guy who did Duran Duran's most famous album cover on the wall. That kind of thing. And clearly what we're seeing is a little send-off by this woman, the
send-off.
What, the badge bunny? Is that what you called her?
Yeah, the badge bunny is in the bedroom with
Jonathan Banks' character.
Shelby Valentine. And he's going to cash in that Valentine right now.
Now, he already has, we're led to believe. And they are saying their goodbyes. And, as maybe we're learning is customary in Top Kick Productions, if someone's a bad guy, they like to reference Hitler.
Yeah, that was a little
seems
odd.
to be a thing.
Oh, yeah.
So he just gives her a quote, and she's like, oh, that's great. Did you make that up? And he's like, no, Hitler did. And then it leaves the room.
Well, okay.
Well, this is after he strangled her and then threw her head against the wall almost. And it's like, she's like, oh, that was great.
Look, man, she's into that. I don't know.
Sounds
Don't judge.
Yeah, some discipline stuff going on there.
By the way, don't go in your bathroom vanity. Just saying.
Right, yeah. Don't poke around your own house.
Right. There's nothing under your bathroom sink.
Doesn't he also tell her that she can't leave?
Yeah, he makes some ominous comments
along those
like,
lines.
Don't go anywhere today. She's like, well, I might go out. He's like, no, don't do that.
He's like, no, you won't. No, you
You
won't.
wouldn't do that.
No.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Insert Hitler quote.
Yeah. And just so you know, I'm a bad guy. If all the other things of me shivving two people so far, I'm a big fan of Hitler. So, yeah.
just so you know, we're cool. We're cool.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. All right. So at Senate headquarters, we see the senator, as politicians do, he's making good on his promises. In this case, he's trying to seal the deal with Alex. He's like, Alex, I don't know how you feel about our time in grad school together, but I still got some feelings here.
We had some crazy times, didn't we? He says something like that, right? And we're like, whoa, okay.
I'd like to have more.
Right. But you're married, Senator.
These things they ebb and flow in the world of a political pundit. And, I've made mistakes in my past. And clearly my marriage is one of them, and it's on the rocks. And, maybe we should have dinner sometime.
Well, I don't know. I have some reservations.
Sometime.
I have reservations about leaving Texas and
dinner sometime. We'll talk about it at dinner sometime.
Okay.
Yes, I'll schedule it right now.
Right. And he does say, he's like, are your reservations, Walker? He does say something like that.
Because we're about the same age. He's maybe 10 years older than me, but I can't quite tell because of the hairpiece.
I'm pretty sure that when Walker's 83, he could still kick my ass.
I'm pretty sure that's a hairpiece, but I'm not one to talk.
I'm not going to bring it up on a podcast and have Chuck Norris come after me because my name's Evan Dalton.
Exactly. Thanks, Corinne. Corinne did the hair on this episode.
Corinne Bardunia's hair and makeup.
Meanwhile, while they're having this whole thing, Walker and Laredo respond to a hostage situation where someone has shot a cop and is now holding a female hostage. This someone being the actor who plays young Uncle Ray in flashbacks. Yeah. Laredo goes in and seems to have some sort of death wish. I guess this is showing how much of a death wish he has.
Yeah, I was wondering about that too. I was like, what is the point of this scene? He basically goes in and diffuses this hostage situation by just walking directly up to the guy holding the woman hostage and just asking
for his gun.
Yeah, just like, give me that. And he's like, all right.
He's like, look, man, I need your gun. Yeah. I need your gun. You don't want to shoot her.
Right. And he's at gunpoint when he's saying this, and he's like, the balls of steel on this guy. He's from the Charles Bronson school.
Oh, yeah.
Death wish.
Yeah.
He has a death wish. Then yes.
He has a death wish too.
He does.
Oh my god.
Oh, we got there, man. We definitely got there. That's podcast material right there.
Wow, we've been doing this a long time to get this flow. I can't tell if it's the 8 beers we've had or.
Is it just 8? Let's keep going.
So we're 10 minutes into the episode at this point. It's an hour and 40 minutes.
Jesus. I don't know how. My next part in the notes is that Walker's now at a machining factory, and he's shaking down the guys who made the scope or the parts for the scope. Of course, the guy he's asking about this has bandages all over his fingers.
Yeah, there was no...
So that apparently was Laredo already shaking that dude down, looking for this dude he has the picture of.
Blue Deckard.
Yeah, absolutely. So Walker's all like, do you know who you're sending basically silencers to? And the guy's like, look, man, I don't know who I report to. I just know who my boss is. And whoever I send these parts for deadly weapons to, that's not really my responsibility. I'm just providing goods in the free market.
Yeah, they just sell the materials. He didn't make it,
Right. How people use what we provide, not our responsibility, So this guy, total sleazeball, deserved to have his fingers broken by Laredo for sure. Kind of a dead end, but they have the name of a company. So we go back to CDs, and the retired Rangers are all just hanging around. They're playing dominoes, of all things. So they're all like, man, would you ever thought, we'd be sitting around playing dominoes or whatever? And they're like, look, I don't know. We're having a great time at all. And it's all a good time. And these street toughs come in. And by street toughs, I mean, they look like 90s country musicians. They come in and they're like, man, there's nothing going on in this bar. What's going on here? And of course, it's like midday. So like, I don't know what your expectations are, but you've met them and you've exceeded them because you're about to get your butt whooped. And the ex-Rangers are like, should we beat the crap out of these dudes? And they're like, yeah, for sure. So they got their little throwdown, and they dust the floor with these young ruffians,
young whippersnappers,
young bucks.
Yeah,
and it's kind of like a comedy scene the way they play it, right?
Yeah, I'm counting this as a fight, but I don't want to.
They didn't really show much of it. It was more of the aftermath, right? When Walker shows up and they're all walking out the door with their tails between their legs, and
I was kind of expecting one of them to be sort of slid along the length of the bar. It was that kind of bar fight.
That would have been fabulous.
They don't want to cause that much destruction in CDs. They're respectful.
Well, yeah. If it was any other place.
CD even said, he's like, we haven't had a fight in here in 2 years or so. I don't know. In 25 minutes.
Yep. Walker comes in after that, and he's like, hey, Laredo, you know that photo you've been showing around? I know about Mitchell, who you've been asking about. So let's talk about this. And why is Laredo keeping this a secret at all? Like, who cares? Wouldn't he just want help? But, this is the Texas Ranger mentality. In some ways, it's viewed as a strength, right? One riot, one Ranger. Sort of like, okay, well, maybe you only need one. But I feel like, maybe with the Rangers in this show, that kind of gets baked in. And unless your name is Walker and the show is named after you, if you try to solo these missions,
not going to go very well.
Doesn't go great. So,
they should change it to Laredo, Texas Ranger. I would actually watch that spinoff. I'd be all about it. I don't care if he's in a nursing home. I would watch it because I just want to hear him talk. He's so cool.
He's pretty rad. I'm into that.
Actually, I want. Well, I don't want to get into any spoilers here, but he dies.
No, he's an old friend. How could he die?
I'm not gonna lie, I kind of forget him dying, but then I just saw it about an hour ago, and I remembered it.
Well, we were trying to forget. Oh, yeah, sorry, tried to bring it up, but so I'm pitching Laredo prequel series starring Jared Padalecki. He's in. Okay, all right, let's go.
Oh, God. So Walker's like, "Who's Mitchell?" And Laredo's like, okay. So this guy Mitchell, he killed this young Denver police officer, and it's been my mission to like avenge this Denver police officer. And Walker's like, okay, cool, let's go find him. And they just go cruising, and they don't have to find him because he finds them.
This is a great chase scene. I thought
I thought of Bob during this scene for sure.
Yeah.
They're driving around in the truck in the middle of Texas.
Old truck too, first gen. We're talking the GMC, not the Dodge.
With the KC lights on top.
Yep.
Oh,
that's important.
Yeah.
That's important.
Yeah, it was great because out of nowhere, Blue Deckard rolls up. He's riding solo in some like crappy car, and over his shoulder, he's like trained across his driving arm on the wheel is a shotgun. Is it a shotgun?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it's some long
double barrel.
Sure. It's a shotgun.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
how do you reload that shotgun in between shots while you're driving? That must be a pain in the butt, right?
To be fair, that's kind of like 50% of Texas drivers are doing that anyways.
They can do it in their sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like
they teach you drivers
that's not even road rage. That's like road minor annoyance.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
They're just ready. They're ready.
Blue Deckard's blasting his shotgun off while driving his sedan at the same time, shooting at Laredo and Walker.
I love the line. I love the line. Like he pulls up next to him, and Laredo's like, "That's Mitchell." Just like,
yeah, Blue Deckard's character name is Mitchell in the show.
Like, guy, he found us. We don't have to find him.
Yeah, that'll speed the plot along. Not.
No.
Not nearly fast enough. And how did he find them?
Doesn't matter.
Dude, he's a black boy. He can find anything.
I still don't like that term. It's just this chase in general. The guy's constantly shooting with his arm like out the window, but then they're like ripping through fields and like driving over medians, and then they'll cut back to him and he's still got his like, how you driving when you got one arm,
your left arm holding the wheel and your other arm putting a shotgun across the other arm out the window.
And Laredo, did you see him when he had his gun out?
That's when you get your Texas driver's license. That's part of it.
Yeah.
Like the cop who's with you, the person assessing you, they hand you a shotgun, and you have to be able to do that.
Yeah, maybe he's driving with his knees too. He's probably steering with his knees.
Oh,
absolutely.
But this chase, guys, they were like jumping over, like the cars, like just bottoming out and like going through the fields and stuff. It was awesome. I really.
I'll be honest. I can't remember. Was Walker going backwards at one point?
Oh yeah. I think at the very end,
with him approaching.
He did the 180 and then threw it in the reverse. So and Laredo's firing straight at the other car as the car is coming towards him, and they're going in reverses.
I mean, maybe that's the best part of the episode.
It might be for me. I don't know.
Yeah. Because how does it end, Bob?
He hits another car and it explodes.
Yeah.
So
Blue Deckard,
that's perfect.
Mitchell,
that's
perfect. The guy they're trying to get. And I was like, oh, is he dead? Is he gone? Like the car blew up, it flipped over.
That's Blue Deckard, man. That's like 6'8" of like Texas beast right there.
Yeah.
That guy is he's not taken out by a car explosion.
Yeah, no, the dude crawls out after the explosion of the car and he's fine.
They're in a hot pursuit, and Mitchell, he takes off over the hill, and he starts firing cover fire for himself. And, Laredo, he stoops over, and Walker's like, man, you hit? And Laredo's like, no, man, I got this chest thing. And Walker, his conscience takes over, and he's got to look after Laredo before he takes off after Mitchell. It seems like Laredo's got some nagging health problems.
Yeah, maybe some kidney stones, something going on there.
Possibly, yeah. Needless to say, given the health scare with Laredo, Mitchell gets away. Next we see is a meeting with
the unfortunately named Black Boys.
The Shadow Agents. And they're meeting at probably the same meeting place that the Foot Clan meets out at, which is, some sort of junkyard. And Jonathan Banks' characters, he's like in a world of his own.
Yeah, so good.
It wasn't unlike anything on Breaking Bad when he's talking about the plan may change and if so, we will adapt.
Yeah.
But you are hired for your particular skills. It was like, oh man, this is just like Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
So, he sneaks around and he's sort of like talking about the plan and all that stuff. And then he just stabs Mitchell. Blue Deckard out.
Deckard down. Deckard down. Deckard down.
And he stabs him in the back, and Blue Deckard as an actor is just like, "Ugh!" and like arches back, and then Killer just like smears his face down. Like
I think he was closing his eyes in a weird way. Yeah. I mean, yeah. It's like, okay, well, I killed him.
Yeah.
It's just sort of like, was that take 1 or take 20? Anyways, the reaction from the other bad guys, pretty priceless. They're just like, oh, okay.
Right. And he's like, well, the Rangers are on to him, and we can't have liabilities with this operation trying to assassinate the senator.
That's how a sane person would present it. He's more like, well, he came back to life with that picture, and
all right. The picture of the radio
breathing life back into it, and they were on to him. And
oh, right. Yeah. Well, imagine in the digital age now, it'd be really hard to be a black boy. But no, it sounds so wrong.
At some point in this episode, we met a wealthy contributor to the senator's campaign. I'll be honest, I tried skimming through the episode trying to find who this guy was in the initial time we saw him. I couldn't find it, and I didn't care that much.
He's a deep state. He's a political deep state.
The old guy?
Yeah.
Oh, we're there now. Okay. Yeah.
They they seeded
him
there,
but we're almost there.
Let's go there. Let's move it. Let's move it along.
We're there. All right. His name is Mr. Douglas, and he seems to be some sort of supporter of the senator's campaign. He seems to be supporting Mr. Valentine, as in Banks's character, assassinating the senator. Yeah. And Douglas is all like, well, as soon as we appoint the replacement for the senator, that person's going to be in the White House, and then I will control the entire country.
Flawless logic, by the way.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you, it's quite possible our country works that way.
Probably does.
It definitely seems like it now.
We don't want it to, but probably. Like, does Nabisco own our country? Maybe.
Most of it. Good part.
I don't know. Yeah.
Possibly?
I used to up until this month, I really thought that Walker Texas Ranger was an extreme exaggeration of everything in life, but now I see it's reality.
No, totally. You see the truth.
I do, and
we've seen the light.
I think we're
brought
done.
The light of Walker to the world, and it's brought it to us as well.
We're done. This is the last one, the last podcast episode. Because
don't say that. Be careful what you wish for. Evan and I just sign off. Oh, really? Oh, we're done? All right.
I'm not saying anything. Bob and I are going to start a podcast where we talk about
birds,
treasure trolls,
bird holes.
Bird holes. It's the bird hole podcast.
We're talking about bird holes. Which hole? We'll talk about it.
We'll figure it out. We'll get there.
Oh my god.
I totally lost where we are. So are we at the point where they show up, where Walker and Trevette show up to that guy's house, or is that not till later?
Dude, no, that's like a ways away.
Oh god,
shit, man. All right. So I think this is where it's meant to be the halfway mark, where they reveal that the funder of the senator's campaign is also like funding this contract killer to take out the senator. And to be fair, this is where we learn that Banks's character's name is Mr. Valentine. And he's all like, yes, Mr. Valentine, well, I hope we'll be able to avoid this meeting. But regardless, once you take out the senator, whoever's replaced by him will be under my control, and I will control the presidency.
Unbelievable.
Is it pretty accurate?
It's pretty close, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, we nailed it.
Can you take out your teeth and do it again?
Let me get some Boku coolers.
Boku. Shout out to Richard Lewis here. Pour one out.
Pour Boku out.
I would.
No kidding. Shout out to the Dalton parents. They put a Boku in my lunchbox once, so that happened.
This explains everything.
Which I guess in retrospect, a wine cooler.
It wasn't actually booze.
Well, Richard Lewis, I think, is a recovering alcoholic, and I think that's like a non-alcoholic drink, and I think that was the whole deal.
He might have still been on the sauce then, though. That was 30 some odd years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, seeing the commercial, yeah, probably could have been, yeah.
Richard Lewis is one of the only comedians I've ever seen live, and he was out of control. He was a stream of consciousness, just whatever happened. He was wearing a suit. He's like, I'm wearing a suit that looks like I'm a mortician, and it has a zipper down here, and it's like, and they just, that was that for like an hour. It was, and that was exactly what I wanted, you know.
Anyways, once he had his Boku, Mr. Douglas.
Boku on ice.
We're doing good.
On the rocks.
I think we're going to figure out what the tagline is going to be for this podcast. Duck penises and Boku. It was Mr. Douglas is like, well, now that I've had my Boku, let's talk about these two rangers that are now involved in this venture of ours. Mr. Valentine, will these rangers be a problem for you? I hear the rangers are relentless.
Right.
And Mr. Valentine is all like, well, the real danger's Walker. He's the hunter. But I'll take care of it because I have the advantage. I know what I'm going to do, but they don't.
That was badass.
I mean, fair, I guess, but
yeah,
that's kind of always the case, right?
Yeah, but they actually give Jonathan Banks menace. I wouldn't say that I ever felt like Walker was ever going to lose in this episode, but they give him a little more depth and a chance to show that he's a bad guy because he quotes Hitler.
Well, yeah. Adam, if you ever feel that Walker's going to lose in an episode, you need to step down. I mean, at this point, we've seen Walker come out of a coma. We've seen him thrown off a mountain by a 7-foot-tall cannibal after being mauled by a bear. So if you think Walker is just going to lay down and take it, I mean, come on now.
What do you want me to say?
Walker always wins.
Okay, yeah. I think they painted him with a little more depth than some of the other villains.
Riveting TV here. We go back to the competition and we see Walker. He does another competition and he gets another perfect score in the firearm competition, but he bests himself by 1 second. So it's a 33-second perfect score. You know, so again, this is basically everyone walking past the same 6 window entrances, and either a hostile or friendly target presents itself, and you have to make the split-second decision whether you shoot it or not shoot it. For those out there who are familiar with this type of competition, I'm sure I'm missing some subtlety to it, but that is for the layperson / New Englander who does not own a firearm. That is my interpretation of this. Nevertheless, Valentine comes in. Keep in mind, he's impersonating a Kansas City cop who's also competing in the competition. And this is his way in, I guess, because he's competing in the competition. He has to score highly enough so that he's in the finals, so that the senator is there to present the award. And Walker sees Valentine. He's like, well, good luck. And Valentine's like, there's no luck involved. It's all skill. If you think there's luck involved, you're a crazy person. Oh, wait, I'm a crazy person too. And so he does it, and he bests Walker, perfect score, and bests him by 1 second.
Walker got bested.
Yeah, but okay. Back it up. Because someone out there, the crazy person right here talking, backed it up and actually timed how long it took between him starting his run and finishing his run. And instead of the 32 seconds they claimed it was actually 50 seconds. And the entire time dialogue was running. So it's continuous. And he did not best Walker. So all those Super Walker fans out there, don't worry. Walker did not lose. He never loses.
Right.
And to this point, we've yet to see him lose. In reality, it was not besting Walker, but they want us to think that Valentine actually is better at the police competition. So he beat him by 1 second. As they're leaving the competition, Walker's like, okay, Trevette, I want you to fire up that computer of yours, and I want you to look up Mitchell. And I want you to see if there are any connections between the silencer on the sniper rifle with any sort of big players in the political scene. Because, you know, it seems pretty big. So they get back to Ranger headquarters and Trevette's all like, oh yeah, I found this whole thing. And Trevette's sort of pointing out all these different connections. And Walker's like, ooh, That's how a black boy is created. And at this point, like, we've heard the term black boy thrown around a couple times. We're kind of weirded out by it. And Trevette's like, excuse me?
Yeah.
Yikes.
Beg pardon?
Like, what now?
Okay.
And Walker's like, whoa. Walk it back. This is like someone who's like, you know, a sleeper agent. Like someone who's like out there, but like not out there, right? And Trevette's like, okay. Watch it.
Yeah. And Trett's like, this is like the time you told that Native American that you were blood brothers. Yikes.
So Walker and Trevette are like, okay, well, we found this connection. Let's go shake him down. And Laredo's like, you know what? I'm just going to stay here because I may have some medical problems and I'm just going to hang out. And Alex wanders around. She's like, is Walker around? And Laredo's like, you're a tall glass of water. You need to sit down across the desk from me. And he makes Alex sit down and take some advice from him. He's like, I can tell you contemplating leaving Walker, but let me tell you, I left someone once, foreshadowing, and I regret it to this day. And Alex is like, okay, old man, I'll think about it.
Right. She's like, but this guy's a senator and he's rich.
Yeah, but this guy's about the same age as Walker, and he's much richer. So Walker and Trevette, they visit the ME. The medical examiner's name is Sweeney. Do you guys recognize this dude?
I did. I combed through the IMDb and couldn't figure out why I knew him.
Well, we recognize him because what's our most popularly rated podcast to this date?
It might be Top Dog. Is he in Top Dog?
He is in Top. He's the police chief in Top Dog.
Ah, okay.
Oh, okay. Wow. So we get a
popular episode is
Yeah.
Top Dog.
And guys, for the record here, Top Dog is currently our second most downloaded episode of Roundhouse Roulette. Lone Wolf Bequaid, our podcast on that, is our seventh most downloaded. And for the win, our most downloaded podcast currently is Swan Song, the one where Walker fights the cannibal and almost gets nailed on a stalagmite.
Might or tight.
Nice use of
Got
stalagmite.
it? Did he nail it? Okay, good.
He did.
I was listening, guys. You say I don't listen, but
I'm not gonna lie. So Bob, I see in the background you've got an antenna duct taped to your wall.
Yep.
I have that as well at my house because I'm too cheap to pay for cable, and I want to get things like football games. But also I can get, on a good day, like a handful of channels.
Yeah.
One of those channels is always playing Walker.
Oh yeah.
And I feel like every time I scroll past it, it's playing Swan Song. So like our stats on Swan Song, I feel like everyone's got those stats, and they're like, oh yeah, this is the one.
yeah.
We rated it so wrong. We were so off on that.
I don't know. Maybe we'll have to do Roundhouse Revisited once we get through them all and be like, was that really?
Well, we'll do all the episodes again. Right.
I'm gonna throw it out there. That one was awesome. He got thrown off a mountain. We got to see him with long hair as old school Walker.
Yeah, flashback to the Reagan era Walker.
Yeah, and there was a freaking 7 foot tall cannibal, and he gets mauled by a bear and then talks to the bear. Like, it's I mean, I don't care how much dead space there is in that episode. Those things are all truths regarding that episode. And come on now.
Yeah, we were wrong.
right.
I think this episode is going to rank up there with Swan Song.
Okay, they see the ME, and the ME, the medical examiner's all like, oh yeah, these guys, they were like assassinated, and they were killed military style with this knife, same knife of which I use as a letter opener, because, you know, medical examiners are weird and are obsessed with blades.
Right.
And let me show how this guy was killed on Trevette for comic effect.
Yeah, it's kind of weird move.
Yeah. Although I knew someone who was a mortician, and she was very into sharing all kinds of things like that. So actually kind of
tracks.
Sneaky accurate.
Well, you want to show off, you know, what you know, and you know, if you, that's what you know. And he's like, and the mortician's like, oh, he's one of the black boys.
Right. And the mortician's like, actually, you know, sometimes dead bodies make noises. And you're like, you know what? I could have gone my whole life without knowing that and been okay.
Yeah. You think that they let out gas before they made it to me, but
right. It's like, you know what? I don't need to know that. Please stop talking. So Walker's all like, well, there's a contract man here, and contract killers cost a lot of money. So Trevette, I'm going to tell you for the second time in this episode, fire up that computer of yours. Why don't we see if there's a connection between who bought this silencer and any sort of large source of money? And Trevette's like, yeah, okay, I'm on it. Meanwhile, Walker goes to see the senator. He's like, Senator, it seems like there's a contract killer out there that wants to kill you. And the senator, for some reason, is pissed and is like, look, I don't have time for this. I don't care. What do you think's going to happen? Another 1963? What happened in 1963?
Well, it happened in Dallas.
To those boomers out there.
A little JFK visit to Dallas.
Wait, like who's JFK?
Yeah. Not cool.
Anyways, Walker's like, well, you have one advantage over 1963. And the senator's like, well, what's that? And I thought for sure Walker was going to say, you've got me. But instead he said, you've been warned. And then he left. It seemed like a missed opportunity. But Walker doesn't toot his own horn, typically.
The show does that for him.
Yeah. Walker makes Trevette use his computer to find the connections for this contract killer. Meanwhile, Walker goes back to his range, and there's some horsey hijinks.
Right. CD and all the other older Rangers are out there wasted riding Walker's horses.
Absolutely hammered.
Which, I mean, have you guys ridden a horse before?
I have a couple times, and it was terrifying. Dude. Those things are scary.
Yeah, same here.
They're huge. They could kill you if they want to.
I don't think any of us have ridden a horse drunk before, but that seems like a uniquely Texas thing to do.
Yes.
Basically, the former Rangers, retired Rangers, are all at Walker's Ranch, and they've drunk a bit too much. They're deciding to go riding some horses. And Walker's like, oh my God, I got to govern this. And Walker's not normally the one to sort of lay down the law or sort of set ground rules. But in this case, he kind of feels it's necessary to do so. So he stops CD from riding off and goes to see the other three ex-Rangers, and they're all, pretty sloshed. One of them's already fallen off his horse, which is pretty legit. And Laredo's like, look, man, even though I'm drunk, I can still beat you back to the house. Walker's like, what did you say?
It's on.
Laredo just takes off. And Walker, instead of, being the responsible individual, is like, well, I can't possibly pass down a challenge, particularly from another Texas Ranger. So I have to race him back. So they race back towards the house, and the horses stop short, launching them both into some mud to great comic effect. Question for you two. Should I count this as a chase? I did.
It's a race.
I don't feel great about it.
Yeah,
I think it's a race. Yeah, I think it's a race.
Okay.
Take it off the stats. Yeah.
All right, taking it off the stats.
But one cool thing about this scene.
Nothing.
We interviewed Corinne Bardunius on the podcast here, and she did makeup for the show around this era. And she shared a few photographs. Back in the 90s, they didn't have cell phone pictures. So all you had were like probably disposable cameras and stuff. And so she had a few of those kind of photos, and they're from this scene. I'm going to pull them up right now. And they're shared on her episode page on roundhouseroulette.com. And thank you, Corinne, for sharing this stuff with us. But we'll put these photos that are pertinent to this episode on this podcast page too, if you guys want to check it out. So there's Kenny Gibson, the stuntman, dressed as Walker on the horse.
That's definitely the same horse. It's a Pinto horse.
And then the next one is them falling into the mud pit.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
There's Laredo. They got them all muddied up. And the guy from...
Lone Wolf?
Yep.
That's awesome. Good call, Adam. I do not remember those pictures at all. So that's awesome.
Yeah. So the listeners will see this photo and they'll understand the reference. The amount of Canadian tuxedos in this episode. Did you guys pick up on that? It was like every other scene. I was like, these guys are head to toe denim. It's unreal.
Oh my gosh. And this is the stunt guy for Laredo doing this scene, I think, right? Am I wrong?
Maybe.
It's tough to say. I mean, both of them were Canadian tuxedos, so
Yeah, maybe they did that on purpose.
Well, regardless, Walker and Laredo, they race back, but then they're launched over a fence into a mud pit. The comic effect, but the comic quickly turns to dramatic in that Laredo has another episode where his ticker's maybe not doing so great.
His heart, right? Yeah.
Yeah, he has some sort of issue, and Walker's like maybe overacting a bit in the case of Chuck Norris, where he's like, "What's wrong? What is happening? Are you okay?" Which it's not the first time this has happened, so it shouldn't be that much of a surprise to Walker. But anyways, it sounds like Laredo's got some form of advanced cancer. He's had chemotherapy once before, but he does not want to go back to the hospital. Hates the indignity of that. He wants Walker to keep it kind of on the DL, that he's not doing so great. Definitely some baggage there with Laredo. Back to Trevette and his confangled computer doohickey. And I guess this was, before it was imperative to sort of cover your tracks. But in this case, it seems like Trevette found it pretty easy to find a connection between the silencers and, say, a large campaign donor, in the case of Mr. Douglas.
Yeah, he's like, the Meadow Company contracts it from this company, and that company's subcontracted by the company that's owned by this guy, and this company is owned by the subcontractor of this guy, which turns out to be the guy that's paying for the campaign.
Honestly, though, that's pretty simple.
Well,
especially when you have Ask Jeeves.
Exactly. Yeah.
Actually, this might have been before Ask Jeeves.
What I did was I booted up Alta Vista and
unbelievable.
Oh my god. Anywho, he basically found a direct connection, or as Walker phrased it, a roadmap between this wealthy donor and this contract killer out to kill the senator, which, in my mind seems like a smoking gun, right?
Oh,
it's actionable for the Texas Rangers. Now, is it actionable to get a warrant? No. Is it actionable for a shakedown, classic Texas Ranger style?
Hell yeah.
Abso-freaking-lutely.
Yeah.
So they show up at the mansion. The mansion, in this case, Mr. Douglas's mansion. But I feel like we've seen this mansion before. Maybe not.
It feels like
It
every
felt very
Walker mansion
familiar,
that happens at the end of an episode of Walker. Yeah, a Dallas mansion.
I mean, let's face it. If we were making it big with this podcast, we'd all be living in these mansions.
Right?
Well,
We
hopefully together watching Walker.
Sure.
And you guys are all invited.
We'd have our own wings.
Right?
Well,
We'd be like, oh man, that coffee table. Walker kicked some dude through that coffee table.
Right. Well, I was really picturing bunk beds, but,
To each their own,
Yeah.
You might be picturing that. We're not. So yeah, they basically shake down Mr. Douglas. Walker comes in and the security detail comes out and they're like, don't worry, Mr. Douglas, we'll take care of this. And they're like, oh wait, it's these Texas Rangers. The guy who's talking, his name's Walker and his partner's name's Trevette, and he's
Oh, Bob.
he's one
What did they say?
he's one of them colored folks.
Oh, yikes.
Oh, no, dude. No, buddy.
No.
And it's like he
It was
wanted to say
unfortunate.
something else. He's like, wait, this is my acting career and I don't want to be filmed saying this. He's one of them.
Right. And the writer of the script is like, well, we've already used the term black boys, so we can't say that.
But they use that without any sort of hesitation. That was just like, oh, that's fine. They won't think anything of that. That's not racial.
Okay, I want to say this head of security,
He's got some smarm to him. He's good. Yeah.
we've seen him before and we will see him again. And I want to say he's an actor that was in Wishbone too.
Okay.
So the head of security is like, just so you know, like, not everyone here is a white person.
To the ringleader, the political fundraiser
Yeah.
who's trying to kill the senator. He tells him that.
Again, I wish I could say that this is like a timepiece and not relevant today, but let's face it, it's probably relevant today, 30 years later. So Walker, he goes in and sees Mr. Mitchell and he's like, look, man, let me show you this giant packet of papers with no illustrations or anything else. And Mr. Mitchell's like, I'm going to read the first sentence of this and say it's gobbledygook because I'm not going to read this much.
By the way, this is the evidence.
Right. Walker's like, just so you know, this is a roadmap that connects you to the people who produced the gun that's been thrown out there to kill the senator. And Mr. Mitchell's like, great. I look forward to you trying to present this in court. And then Walker leaves. And as Walker's leaving, Mr. Mitchell's like, says to his head of security over the radio, make sure Walker has a send-off he'll never forget. And again, this is okay.
This is the best scene. This is the best scene.
Yeah, this is part of Texas code, right? Like, you just got shook by law enforcement. You have every right to try to kill them.
Oh my God.
Right? Freebie. Like, just once. But you have every right to try to kill them. They won't press charges. Don't worry.
No.
And just do your best. You're not going to win, but do your best.
So Walker goes back out, and he's by the security guard's by the front door. Walker is about to leave, and the security guy's like, so glad you visited, Walker. But he telegraphs that you're not getting past me, Walker. And he kind of goes a little, come on.
I thought he just like walked up in front of him and then just did a bunch of karate moves. Wasn't that what happened?
That definitely happened. Although he like locked the door, and then Walker's like, "Oh, this is gonna be the best part of my day."
Yeah, it's like, let's bring it on. And the moment the fight started, I'm like, dude is gonna get slammed through that front door, right? I mean, Walker's gonna kick him through the door. It's like only a matter of how long. So they have like a sparring match, and the guy's just doing all this crazy stuff. We pan outside, and Laredo and Trevette are out there, and they're like, should we go help him? It sounds noisy in there. And they're like, nah, he's got this. It's Walker.
Trevette turns to Laredo. He's like, have you ever seen an episode of Walker, Texas Ranger?
And then, sure enough, Walker kicks the guy through the door, right? I mean, can you imagine being kicked through a solid like oak door with glass?
It didn't look like a solid oak door with glass, so it broke down. It looked like balsa wood with sugar water glass.
Yeah. But then they just kind of leave. They're like, oh, well, dude freaking sicked his guard on us. Isn't that enough to be like, yeah, you know?
No, we want to take it in?
That's the code. That's the once. You can take your best shot at us. We will not press charges. And have at us.
Just one.
Yeah.
Just one.
My note said, now Walker is a target.
So he's all like, let's give Walker a send-off he'll never forget, which is in the advertisement for the trailer or whatever. Yeah. Walker dispatches these goons pretty quickly, including a dude who inexplicably knows karate. Regardless, Walker quickly dispatches that dude and kicks him through the front door. Pretty epic. Anyways, as they're driving away, Walker's like, well, good. Now they know that we're on the case, and we'll distract the assassins because they're going to try to take me out first. So that was his whole point. And that mousetrap was set and clearly worked quite well, because the next scene, Walker is defending his home, his ranch, against an onslaught of assassons.
I forgot about this.
Yeah, I wish this scene lasted the entire episode,
right?
But was really only like 5 minutes. Walker basically, under cover of night, without night vision, although he's got a pretty sick monocle.
Yeah, and the bad guys are like coming onto his property with like night vision that looks like they're like it's like huge goggles, nerd goggles, all black. Break into his house, and they're like, "Where's Walker?" And he swings like down from a stairs and kicks like a guy in the face, right?
Yeah, he home alones one guy. Now it's like, granted, like these guys have night vision and all that stuff, and like two guys come into Walker's house, and while another guy is sitting on a silo, like as the backup or whatever, they've all got night vision and stuff. But the first dude who walks in with night vision, he like walks in the front door and just lets the door slam. It's like a ton of noise, right? And he's walking around, and the floor is creaking, and he ends up on the stairs, and then he gets home alone. He gets kicked out. Walker swings down the stairs and paint cans the dude. But then the next guy's walking around in like the kitchen or something, and he's also making a ton of noise. Like, he's got the night vision and stuff, but he's not feeling the stealth. So, yeah, Walker takes both those dudes out, and I'm like, well, is he going to tie them up? Like, you got to make sure these guys don't get away so you can question them. But he doesn't tie them up because it's an episode of Walker, and, if they're knocked out, they're out for
he
knows.
He knows how long they're out for, so he's got it.
The second guy he takes out, and then he hears on the radio the guy from the tower, and he's like, dude, did you get him? And Walker's like, oh yeah, I got him. So then he walks over to the tower as the guy's rappelling down and just knocks him over.
Yeah, but did you notice the guy came down and he went to give him a high five?
Oh, and he just punched him in the face.
He gives a high five, and then Walker knees him in the nuts.
Perfect. Why would you do a high five? Who does high?
Yeah, and Walker, he's like, high five! I just killed somebody. Oh, and Walker, he was wearing the other guy's clothes too. Baller move.
That's true. Yep. That's true. Now, here's the thing. To this point, we've seen the main bad guy. We've seen Blue Deckard's character, and we've seen how many henchmen? 2. So in this scene, there are 3 people, but we know Blue Deckard's dead. And we know that the main bad guy isn't participating in this. So who's the third guy?
Well, I mean, you got to bring on some other black boys.
Excuse me, what?
Mercenaries who are off the grid.
Okay,
the ones that are just, they fake their own deaths. That, yeah.
Okay.
I thought that was common knowledge that it was called that.
Oh, yeah, okay, cool. You didn't Google that, or?
Not typing that in, Evan. No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, not typing that in. Yeah.
Okay. Meanwhile, at the senator's headquarters, he's all like, okay, this is where I just had dinner with Alex Cahill, assistant district attorney. It's season 2. She's hot off Dallas. I'm going to try to put my moves on right now. Family be damned. I'm going to do this because I've been working so hard. I deserve this for myself.
Yeah, for the country. And I was working hard for the country and my constituents. And
for the red, white, and blue, I'm going to bag this. Yeah. So, anyways.
Oh my God.
So, I'm not saying that's how politicians think, but I'm not saying that's how they think. So, this guy's all like, okay, Alex, you and me, we just had dinner. It was a marvelous time. I just want you to know that you're at the top of my list. And, you and I are both going to go through some times right now. It's quite possible I'll be tapped as the Republican nominee, as the presidential candidate. And I could be in the White House. And, one thing I want more than anything is to be going through a really messy divorce and to have the district attorney attached to my side as a hot side piece that's causing my really nasty divorce. So I want you to be my scandal. Will you be my scandal?
Okay.
And Alex is all like, I'm considering this.
Well, they had history.
And they have the most awkward kiss scene. He kisses her head. And she just kind of stands there awkwardly.
He's kissing her face, and she's all like,
That was so uncomfortable.
That happens, and he's like, well, can you leave Walker? And she's like, well, I don't know. Oh, Mr. Senator, you got a phone call. It is his
God.
aide breaks up.
So,
they're about to maybe move on to their makeout session, and they get a knock on. Yeah.
Can we unpack this for a bit? So, so we've got both Trevette being like, you're a married man. You shouldn't be doing this. And the senator's like, dude, just F off.
Just protect me from my assassination attempt. All right, buddy.
I just got you around as a formality. We're in Texas, so Texas Rangers seems fine. Yeah. But get out of my way. And then his secretary butts in when he's about to make out with Alex and seduce her. And she's like, you really have to take this call. You so have to take, it's a super important call. And he's like, well, I'd be an asshole to you entirely, but I'm trying to impress this lady. So I'll take you kind of seriously because you're a woman, but mostly not. And then he takes the call and it's his wife and he's like, hey, sweetie,
Oh, I miss you so much, babe.
I miss you so much. Like, I love to the kids. Like,
oh, and we're gonna have a great vacation coming up. I can't wait. We need some time to relax together.
Right. And I'm totally just like doing paperwork. It's paperwork
just
right
like
now. Like
senator stuff.
Like
and
doing stuff, like senator things.
I'm filing some papers with the assistant district attorney right now.
He's like, it's like nothing super important. Like, I love you guys so much. Like, so much.
And Alex is watching this conversation go by. She's like, saw him code switch. She's like, oh, this is all phony stuff. This is what he would do to me.
Yeah. So he hangs up the phone and he like turns around and Alex is there with like her jaw hanging down. He's like, whoa. That's like,
I didn't mean any of that stuff
like,
I was telling her.
Like, that didn't mean much to me. And she's like, wait, it didn't? He's like, wait, but it did, but it didn't, but it did, but it did. Ah, shit. Alex is about to leave and he's like, no. I could make your life mean something.
Oh, yeah. And she's like it doesn't already?
And what she really means is, like, it doesn't matter that I'm going to be assistant district attorney for like 8 seasons.
Yeah, and then she storms out, and then
Trevette's standing there like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, he kind of is like, oh, can I help you with something, Senator?
I drew an emoji of the side eye for the wife call. I felt like that was appropriate.
So what's the next scene?
Surprise, surprise. Walker, even though he took all 3 of his assailants alive, none of them are talking. Meanwhile, the medical examiner found Mitchell's body, and they're all like, I guess it's over? Mitchell's body's discovery means that they're kind of like, okay, well, I guess this is all resolved. Walker's leaving Ranger headquarters, and he passes by Alex, and Walker and Laredo, they seem to be picking up on some body language. And Walker, he puts the moves on Alex in that he's like, hey, you okay? And Alex is like, the senator and I had to talk. And Walker's like, okay, cool. And then Alex walks away.
Then Laredo's like, oh, I hear some tension in your voice there, Walker, or something like that,
And Walker's like, it's like not your business and stuff.
But what are you doing with that picture of that strip club, Laredo? Tell me about that, and I'll tell you about Alex. Next scene.
And Laredo's like, my heart again, my chest. And Walker's like, I'm going to take you to the hospital. And I even wrote in my notes, Walker takes Laredo to the hospital, but he doesn't. He takes Laredo to his hotel room instead.
Right. He's like, I'd rather die in this hotel room.
Right. Laredo's got next to his bed the picture of this Denver cop that was killed. And Walker's like, oh, is this the cop? And Laredo's like, yeah, I'm gonna hug it. And Walker's like, okay, cool. And Laredo's like, yeah, he was my son. And Walker's like, okay, I'm going to leave now. And Laredo's like, good, I'm going to cry now. Were you guys surprised that this photograph they took around with him and the Denver cop he is trying to avenge is his son?
No.
Okay, cool.
Definitely not.
Yeah, me neither. Meanwhile, remember that badge bunny that was hooking up with the hitman here?
Yeah.
Yeah. She doesn't seem to have shaken him, even though he's quoting Hitler and acting weird in the bed. She's like, oh, I'm just going to talk to my girlfriend on the phone. And, he's just like kind of weird. And like, I don't know, he like quoted dictators and stuff and was just kind of strange. Anyways, I'm going to look under my sink because my plumbing is acting weird. I found a suitcase. There's like a metal suitcase. This stuff usually has like money or guns or something. But I'll call you right back, Becky. Let me just investigate this a little bit further. So she takes a suitcase out from underneath the vanity of her bathroom and realizes it's full of guns. And not only is it full of guns, it is the classic smoking gun suitcase. And then it's got like 4 handguns in it. And then a manila folder where the only content is
his target.
Same 8x12 photo that Bob and I talked about of the senator. And she's like, okay.
And then he pulls up. She hears him pulling up, and she's trying to frantically put it away, and he walks in, and we're all like, she gone.
Yeah, she's like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean. He's like, you didn't mean to what? Open up something that you found that was not yours? Anyways, she gone. And
Yeah.
regardless, as a hitman, he might be supremely effective, but he's not great at
Relationships. Yeah.
relationships or like eluding law enforcement. If you're a professional hitman, not that I am one or ever plan to be one, but I would think that you change. I'd think that you change your MO, right?
Each one of your crimes would be taken from a Walker Texas Ranger episode.
Regardless, somehow he managed to murder this person who the other people he's murdered at this point had no idea they were about to get murdered and were completely taken by surprise. The woman he just murdered here presumably had a lot of inclination he was about to kill her, yet he still murdered her the same exact way, such that the ME said, "I'm completely and 100% positive it was the same killer."
Oh, that makes it easy for the plot. Finally, something does.
It sure does. I'll tell you that. I've only got like a handful of bullet points at this point. So the ME's totally positive on this, and Walker's like, wait, that means there's still another black boy out there.
Yikes.
And they're like, okay, this is not resolved entirely. So Walker's like, okay, Trevette, go like cover the senator because there's still someone out there trying to kill the senator. I'm going to go back to the office and try to break the case. You know, normally that wouldn't really work very well, but instead Walker and CD somehow break the case open. They know that the fifth man is actually impersonating this Kansas City police officer.
Right. So Valentine is impersonating the guy he killed at the beginning of the episode, and now the cops are onto him. The Rangers are onto him.
Yep. So CD remembered the woman who came in, who used to be married to a police officer. And he remembered she was sidling up to that guy from Kansas City.
Because he got a phone call, and that's how he identified him.
Absolutely. So CD knows all. CD's the best.
I mean, he may be drunk and riding horses, but he definitely knows how to solve a crime.
Absolutely. Walker's like, oh, I know that guy. He actually beat me at the shooting competition. Like, I guess I better go find him.
Right.
Walker calls it into Trevette. Trevette's like, okay, I'll let the senator know. And the senator shows up at the shooting competition, and Trevette's all like, just so you know, like, someone's still trying to kill you, and they could be here. And the senator's like, look, man, I don't care. I'm here now, so deal with it. So then Walker calls Laredo, because Walker can't get to the shooting competition in time. And Walker's like, hey, Laredo, just so you know, like, we thought we resolved the story with your son getting killed and all that stuff. And I know you're like mourning and like feeling a lot of emotions. Anyways, there's still like a dude out there who's like trying to kill the senator. So if you want to come to the shooting competition, like, we should know. And Laredo's like, you don't need to tell me who I'm looking for or what. I'll just show up.
Right. And unbeknownst to him, Jonathan Bake's character actually killed his son. We find that out in some weird way that they don't have enough time to tie back to the story. Very strange. Very strange.
Absolutely true. So Laredo's like, okay, I'll be there. Sure. And Walker shows up. And this is where it all goes down at the shooting competition, which is, it's all very strange. So there's the shooting competition going on. As we described earlier, it's exactly the same as we described earlier. There's no difference in the competition. I would think there'd be some variability in it, because if you watch the person in front of you performing, I think you'd just do the same exact thing as them, but 5 seconds better. Anyways, people are doing this whole thing while Walker and Trevette are trying to find the person trying to snipe the senator. At several points, Trevette is actually like behind the firing range, which seems incredibly dangerous.
Well,
and if you were going to be behind there, you'd tell someone so they'd stop trials, but they didn't. No. They kept trials going, while Trevette's like running around behind the firing range. Like, what the hell are you doing?
Well,
honestly, tell someone.
No, it's trusting the Rangers, because they're trained to know if it's a bad guy or not.
Yeah, okay. They let some people in that were getting like sub 80%. So like, come on now. Meanwhile, bad guy's like setting up on some rando platform in the woods. He's just like free-handing a sniper rifle from a very long distance, trying to shoot at the senator, but bodyguards keep walking in the way of the senator. He's not really able to get a shot off until he realizes that Walker's just about to tackle him, at which point he fires one shot off Then he engages in combat with Walker. Walker's first move, of course, being to kick the platform he's on, launching him into the abyss. And what we get is an old man fight, I guess.
I'm in, though. I was all about it.
At this point, we'll take any action we can get, right?
To see Mike square off against Walker was sick.
Yeah. They tussle for a while. Bad guy tries to make his one move where he gets Walker in a headlock and then tries to pull out his knife and stab him in the kidney. But Walker knows what's coming because he's seen several people killed in this method. So he grabs the knife and is able to disarm Bad Dude. He gets a couple good roundhouse kicks in, at which point he kicks him through a door. So this is the second person kicked through a door in this episode. They both like do their somersaults or whatever and are crouching. You know, bad guy, he's all like, you know what? This is exactly what we need. What a fitting way to end this. We're both going to quick draw to our deaths. It's a duel out of nowhere. And Walker's like,
sure.
Okay, cool. And, they quick draw, and guess who wins?
Yeah, you'll never guess how this one ends.
Right, we won't even say who does. So then we pan over to the next scene, and Laredo apparently jumped in the way of the bullet and protected the senator, but he's dying. He's bleeding out on the ground.
Yeah, I had to rewind it because I was like, I don't remember him actually, because he had the senator in his sights.
Yeah, I don't remember shooting him off around, but I guess he did.
He did, but he had the silencer on, so he didn't hear it. So,
Bob, you're so into it, though.
Well, no, I went back and watched it again.
I wasn't listening for chickens passing wind in a hurricane. So, oh my god, ridiculous.
So he took one. He took one for the team.
He
sure did. And what team did he take one for? We don't know because we don't see the senator at all.
Oh yeah, he's gone.
Ever again. But, so,
you know what team he took one for, though? Old friends.
You know it.
Because he's an old friend, and we know what happens to old friends.
He gone.
Yeah, he gone.
He's gone.
He got Laredo. Pour one out for Laredo, man.
Right after Walker shot Valentine, he said, "Have a nice day." There's a few really odd one-liners in this episode, and that was one of them.
Have a nice day.
And then I think one of the last lines I had written down in the episode was, "We're going to miss you, Laredo."
Yeah. Walker's like, well, your son's dead. You're pretty much dead. What about your son's mother? And Laredo's like, yeah, she's dead too. Here's an absolutely pristine picture of her that I'm going to pull out of my pocket.
From 50 years ago.
Yeah. I've got 40 copies, so I put a new one in my pocket every week. This is her. She was like a poet, but she's dead too. So I guess I'll see them in heaven. Okay, see you later.
I gone. Bye.
Okay, bye. That about sums up this episode. If you've got some opinions for us, please share them with us on the socials. When we come back, we're going to spin that roundhouse roulette wheel and figure out what we're going to be watching next time. Taste my lid. Take that, you scoundrel. Whee!
Amazing shooting, Ranger Evan. You scored a 97 and now lead the pack.
Well, I never miss an opportunity to blast bullets with my Ranger buds.
Our next marksmanship competitor is Ranger Bob Leahy from scenic New Hampshire. Can he beat out Ranger Evan?
Great shooting there, Ranger Evan.
Thanks, Ranger Bob. Best of luck to you.
Luck? Oh, I don't believe in luck. And listeners, neither should you. If you want to help us continue to deliver Lyda Walker, Texas Ranger, to the world, please share the pod with a friend or leave us a kind review on Apple Podcasts. It truly helps other Walkerites find the cast.
And if you're feeling extra generous, join us on Patreon or pick up a vintage action figure at one of them roundhouseroulette.coms.
Take your place, Ranger Bob. Ready, set, go!
Take that!
Wow, would you look at that? Ranger Bob scored a perfect 200 out of 100 in record time. He's the winner of this year's pointless pistol measuring contest.
Gosh darn it. Some guys have all the luck.
Oh no, Ranger Evan. Luck had nothing to do with it. We can write any unrealistic ending we want in these advertisements. Let's get back to the show now, you hear?
Welcome back. What did you guys think of this episode?
Wow. Well, I went first last time, so Ranger Bob, I think, is up first this time.
Good luck. Now, I should say, what did you guys think of these episodes?
Right. Listeners know out there that we generally, if they're split into two parts, we will rate them as such, but this has really been grouped together even on all the streaming and DVDs, so we did it as one.
All right, I thought I updated the stats. Let me throw the stats in right here.
Okay. So 4 fights, 2 roundhouse kicks, 1 chase, 1 explosion. It hit all the beats, but it took double the amount of time. Bob, what do you feel about this episode, man?
Well, it had a different feel. Like you said, it was a movie, right? I think it helped the pace a little bit, because sometimes in regular episodes, they just bounce from one thing to the next, and it can get a little disorienting. But I think this one had a little better pace. Overall, as a Walker episode, it's kind of tough. Like, it didn't really fit the mold, but I still felt it was like 7 material. And that really goes to the bad guy and that chase. Mm-hmm. That chase is awesome. I can't tell you how much I love that chase. Just seeing Jonathan Banks in this episode, I think he was actually really good. Like,
he was, yeah, he really was good.
And he was just like the same character that he's played in everything else I've seen him in, but
he did it here first.
Exactly. It worked great. There's plenty of stuff to pick apart. Like, this could have been, again, it could have been one episode.
Well, all right. Well, so 7, you're going with 7, Bob?
Yeah, 7's it for this one.
I can't be nearly as generous as Bob. As the person who had to take notes on this, I mean,
I took notes too, and I do it on my iPad, so there's no pages, but it is significantly longer than any other episode.
Yeah, it's just like every episode of Walker fits a ton of detail in, but this was like a slog. There were 4 fights, but only 2 of those actually had Walker in them. Like, what are we doing here? The final fight was good. I mean, rarely does the fight end in like a quick draw, which is hilarious. Granted, it was a fight against like another old dude. I don't know. That final fight was not enough to really bring me out of the gutter, which was where I pretty much was on this episode before that. Car chase was sweet, but that was like the first third of the episode, at which point like there was a bunch of other garbage between everything. I mean, this all could have been fit into one Walker episode and still wouldn't have ranked particularly highly with me, other than the fact that like the guest star was hilarious. But other than that, like I cannot be particularly generous on this one. This is reactionary. I would have said a 6, but given that Bob gave it a 7, I'm being reactionary. Give it a 5.
Wow,
right down the middle.
Okay.
Right down the middle. Like, Walker's good, but that said, like, the one thing Walker was going to be really good at, which is the competition, and we just saw some random dude who hasn't been practicing come in and beat Walker. What is that?
That's a good point. Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
What is that?
Well, that shows you how good he is, and that was the stakes for the episode.
Well, he still got killed by Walker, so he's not that good.
Well, his drawing is not as fast as Walker's, but his precision is.
I mean, I don't know. Just saying.
Okay.
I can't really get behind it. Sorry, team.
I looked at my previous scores, and I also, before talking about this for 3 hours, had a 5 down. Because I think Jonathan Banks makes this episode worthwhile, but we're not going to be talking about anything about this episode going forward ever again. There's nothing here.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. Yeah. There's not really a lot of staying power here.
But one thing I like about this episode is it actually has some lore to the characters. Alex had some relationship previously before with a senator. I mean, there is that. They got into questioning Walker and Alex's relationship. And Michael Banks, it was like almost watching another episode of Breaking Bad. A little bit. Just
like a prequel.
Exactly. Yeah. This could be canon. This could be canon. He actually faked his death.
It's in the Breaking Bad universe.
And actually,
he didn't die in the episode, by the way. He just got shot. So he didn't even die.
Yeah. Walker didn't give him a lethal shot. Yeah, which is good.
He got up and he was all mad about it, One thing to defend my higher score, though, I think we're forgetting about Laredo here, guys.
Oh, yeah.
Because I think part of it was the longer episode. Yeah, you get more attached to it.
Yeah.
And at one point in like the second act of the episode, there was like...
Did you tear up? When he took one?
A little bit, not gonna lie. A little bit.
I'm not gonna lie. I didn't care that much.
It didn't do anything for you?
No. I thought he was quaint, but most of the time just kind of dead weight.
All right. Well, what does that give this episode ranking?
That gives this episode a Roundhouse rating of 5.666. Boost to the face. Well, I think we can all agree that having Walker on your security detail is worth more than its weight in gold. But let us know what you think about the weight of gold and its current market value, and anything else on social media or by emailing us at roundhouseroulette@gmail.com. And when we come back, we'll spin that Roundhouse Roulette wheel and select our next episode. Bobby, ready to spin that thing?
You know it, buddy.
Here. Oh.
Oh, no. I just can't. I can't.
Season 9, Episode 9, Child of Hope.
I can't deal with more child actors. I mean, I know it's been a while, but it hasn't been long enough.
All right, so this is the last season of Walker.
It's totally going to be a kid, and their parents' name is going to be Hope. Or they're going to be in some home that's called the Hope Home. Actually, isn't Hope House? Isn't that...
oh, yeah.
Alex's thing.
Yeah, all right. This is going to be 2s across the board right here. I'm telling you.
So if we're betting, it's mother's name is Hope or has something to do with the Hope House.
Right. Unless it's like the Busey episode where there's just like, I don't know, like Eric Estrada comes in and murders everyone. Like, I can't.
When a young mother abandons her child, Alex's maternal instincts take over when she begins caring for the infant.
No.
Meanwhile, the Rangers investigate a series of murders which lead them to a gang of vicious ex-convicts.
Ooh, side story.
Which somehow will be connected to the mother.
Or not.
Yeah, exactly.
Either way, you're going to hate it.
Adam, I saw in the background there was an episode called Family Matters.
Oh, yeah, with cameo from Urkel.
Either way, when that episode comes up...
It's going to be off the hook. Yeah.
All right. Well, we hope you'll join us next time when we share our reactions to Season 9, Episode 9, Child of Hope. In the meantime, share your opinions with us on Facebook and Instagram at Roundhouse Roulette and on Twitter at RoundhousePod. And please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts.
And remember to hit up Judson Mills and Nia Peoples on Instagram and tell them we need to talk to those guys.
Yeah, we got to get them on here reading fanfic ASAP.
You want it, we want it, and they secretly just don't know they want it, right?
They really don't want it, but but we'd be happy to have them. Thanks for listening, and until next time,
may the eyes of the Ranger be upon you.
When you're in Texas, look behind you. Oh, 'cause that's where the Ranger's gonna be.